time, Konoha's plan, and Hangguang's plan, involves the entire ninja world. The reason why White Zetsu only appeared today to lead Lu Han away is to wait for Lao Ai to come. Whether it was a misunderstanding or not, no matter what Konoha explained, as long as Xiao Ai died, in front of Lao Ai, then Konoha and Kumogakure would have no way to recover. After finally giving Xiao Ai a few knives, Black Zetsu did not wait for the result, then sneaked into the ground and fled away. In the vast forest, the sun shines through the branches and leaves on the Madara, and the figure in the forest is like Hayate, like lightning, continuing to move forward, flying, and never stop. Lu Han has locked the White Zetsu body. He is very different from more than a year ago, mainly in perception ability. In the past, if White Zetsu sneaked into the ground, the insight map could not detect him, and Lu Han would have difficulty finding him. Has Pervert's perception ability due to practicing Sage Mode? It's too far away to say. As long as it's not far away, the target locked by him, even if there is any secret method, Lu Han will never know lost. White Zetsu panicked. He found out that he was locked by the cold light. Even if he sneaked underground with the mayfly technique without revealing his breath, Lu Han could still track him. He can dive deeper underground, but not all places can do so. He sneaks with the technique of plankton, relying on the organic matter in the ground, relying on the groundwater, the roots of the underground plants, and if the deep underground is rock formations, it is impossible to dive in. He felt Lu Han's killing intent. Lu Han really wanted to kill him, even if he didn't know where Tsunade was. If White Zetsu dared to appear in front of him, he would definitely slash him. Although Tsunade was caught and Lu Han was afraid of rats, a White Zetsu was not enough for Lu Han to attack. What really matters is Black Zetsu. If Uchiha Madara was really determined to threaten Lu Han with Tsunade, then it would be impossible to do anything to Tsunade because White Zetsu was killed. Time flies. After about 2 hours. The southwest region of the Fire Country is still an endless forest. The insight map showed that White Zetsu disappeared again, but Lu Han put his hand on the handle of the knife. He had already felt that White Zetsu was approaching him. After about 2 breaths, and 20 meters ahead, White Zetsu suddenly sprang from the grass. Looked at Lu Han with a sneer. Han Guang, Tsunade Shi. White Zetsu may be trying to threaten Lu Han, or it may be sarcasm. But Lu Han didn't give him a chance. As soon as White Zetsu opened his mouth, Lu Han disappeared in front of his eyes. Immediately after, a terrifying light of a knife exploded behind White Zetsu, and the space shook. The sound of the blade cutting through the air resounded through the forest like thunder. White Zetsu looked horrified, his body shrank quickly, and the 2 large leaves around him quickly closed. Boom _. With this knife, Lu Han directly smashed the big leaf with almost absolute defense effect. The blade fell to the ground, tearing the ground directly. An earthquake occurred in the entire forest, and a line of 100 meters long was torn out from the ground in front of Lu Han. A crack of nearly 10 meters at its widest point. From the sky, the forest seems to open its mouth. It's your fate, Lu Han said in a cold voice and continued to chase. White Zetsu is not dead. Because that knife didn't hit White Zetsu's vital point, it just cut off one of its arms. For White Zetsu, who has Senju Hashirama cells and Master Spore technique, breaking an arm is not a serious injury. Not a human in the true sense, and his injuries cannot be seen from a human point of view. Han Guang, you dare to kill me. You dare to kill me. White Zetsu's shrill cry resounded through the mountains and forests 1 kilometer south of the crack. Lu Han said nothing and continued to chase after him. Crazy. It's crazy. Cold light. You don't want your wife's life. You dare to do something to me. White Zetsu was really furious and fearful. Just now, he almost died. The pulling force that Lu Han's knife is good at is extremely terrifying. If the knife falls on the ninja, it will directly tear people to pieces. No matter where it is chopped, it will be the same. White Zetsu has entered the state of the mayfly technique because of his special body. So that he was spared death. Hangguang. You are dead. Your whole family is dead. Wait for Tsunade to collect the body. Didn't you take me to Uchiha Madara? Can you really decide Tsunade's life or death? Oh, even if I kill you, Uchiha Madara will not give up using Tsunade to blackmail me because of you, don't you understand? Luhan finally responded to White Zetsu. White Zetsu choked. Luhan said was right at all, even if he was killed by Luhan, Uchiha Madara couldn't give up his original plan because of him. He died in vain, and even if the main body White Zetsu died, the clone White Zetsu died. Zetsu will still exist, and the body will die when it dies. Time flies. Luhan chased and killed White Zetsu all the way. From day to night, White Zetsu didn't dare to jump out and say anything to Luhan, but just ran desperately. The two chased and fled, and at night, they entered the country of Chuan, which is located in the southwest of the country of fire. The Kingdom of Chuan, a medium-sized country in the Kingdom of Fire, has a land area more than double that of the Kingdom of Rain, but its strength is very average. Due to the many mountains and rivers in its territory, the population is small, and although there are not many ninjas, it can only be regarded as one side. Small neutral forces. From the map, the Kingdom of Chuan stands between the Kingdom of Fire and the Kingdom of Wind. Above is the Kingdom of Rain. It can be said to be surrounded by the three kingdoms of wind, fire and rain. However, due to the terrain, when the three kingdoms are at war, it is rare to pass through the country of Chuan. After all, going over mountains and mountains is not a big deal for the strong, but for some Chunin genins, it is a bit difficult. It is precisely because of the terrain of the country of the river that the country of rain has become the place of three battles. Otherwise, Sunagakure village would not have sent troops to the country of rain, but would have gone directly to the country of river, and would be able to confront Konoha. South of the country of Sichuan, Kingsha Ridge. The night is thick, and the full moon hangs high. Chasing and killing White Zetsu for 10 hours, finally stopped after entering the Kingshaling area. White Zetsu had disappeared. Luhan knew that he had sneaked into the distant forest, but he had no intention of chasing him. Yuhi name has appeared on the Insight map, and it is a big Yuhi name with a strength level and killing intent. Crazy Undead, Level 70 White Silver Boss, Uchiha Madara. Chapter 0828_King of the Times. Uchiha Madara's identity information is changing. I still remember the time when Luhan found him in the Valley of the End. His identity was defined as a conspirator hidden in the dark, and the definition was very accurate. At that time, Uchiha Madara was indeed in the dark. What is he planning? And now, the definition of crazy undead is also in line with what Uchiha Madara is doing now. Crazy, he's really crazy. He should have died, but because of Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, he is alive. Kingsha Ridge is a vertical and horizontal mountain from north to south. In August and September every year, the desert monsoon blowing from the land of wind will pass through the mountain pass of Kingsha Ridge after entering the land of Chuan. The dry climate and wind and sand make Kingsha Ridge. There is not much vegetation on the sandy ridge, except for a few forests that are distributed in the mountains like Madara blocks, and the rest, even the grass is very foothill. At a glance, there are bare mountains everywhere, as well as wind-blown sand. This is Kingsha Ridge. Luhan discovered Uchiha Madara. He stopped. His location was a mountain pass, with low mountains on both sides. It was only 200 or 300 meters wide, and it was relatively narrow. The basin is surrounded by mountains. There are forests on the north and south sides of the basin, but the area is only 1/10 of the basin, and there is a large area in the middle. Or an environment that can be called the Gobi. The bare ground, the sand and dust rolled by the wind, some large and small rocks, and the figure standing on the distant boulder, Uchiha Madara. It was 2 kilometers away from Luhan, but Luhan could still see him, and the two of them saw nothing blocking him. Luhan stared at Uchiha Madara for a while. Seeing that Uchiha Madara didn't put Tsunade out to threaten him, he jumped with his feet, disappeared and reappeared, but it was in front of him, about 1,800 meters away from Uchiha Madara. 1,600 meters away. Just like that, Lu Han disappeared and appeared again and again. Until he stopped when he was still 200 meters away from Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara stood on a boulder with a width of 100 meters and a height of nearly 30 meters, which was as high as a 10-story building. His white hair was shaking in the wind. He looked down at Lu Han. Neither of them spoke, staring at each other. "Where's Tsunade?" Lu Han spoke first, and Sen Leng asked. "Hashirama's granddaughter." Uchiha Madara stared at Lu Han. "She's dead." "I guess she's still alive," Lu Han said with the same expression. "Why?" Uchiha Madara asked rhetorically. "Isn't it bad to be dead? If she is dead, I won't be threatened by me, will I?" "Because you want to kill me." Lu Han clenched the hilt of the knife. "If Tsunade is dead, I will leave as soon as I say it. Although I am eager for revenge, I have nothing to worry about. You want me to stay, don't you? You say she died just to make me upset, and if I don't seek revenge from you, but just run away, will you let me see Tsunade?" Lu Han was too aware of Uchiha Madara's purpose. Because Uchiha Madara has already revealed his strength level to Lu Han, it means that he intends to hurt Lu Han by himself. "You are very smart." Uchiha Madara praised Lu Han, but said, "It's just a little clever. I admit that you are the strongest in this era. You have knowledge, scheming, and mind." "Sounds like a eulogy," Lu Han interjected. "However, so what?" Uchiha Madara ignored Lu Han and continued to say his own words. "In my time, I met many people like you, some amazing and talented people, more successful than you are more terrifying, but they also die faster than you, leaving only some sighs, some memories." Quote. "Actually, I am very sorry. Those who are born in line with the times, there are many people who are like you. They are not afraid of the sky and the earth. They have determination and perseverance, are not afraid of life and death, and dare to do things that ordinary people can't do, but they're all dead, and I've ended them. So, are you planning to end me today?" Lu Lengli asked, subconsciously tapping the handle of the knife with his fingers. "Actually, I don't want to do this." Uchiha Madara put on a helpless expression, and said slowly, "You are the king of this era, although, with your strength, if it was 40 years ago, you would have done nothing. No, Hashirama, Tenon, any of them can end you, but it cannot be denied that you ruled this era. If you are 50 years old, I will not care about you, let you do anything, wait 2 more 10 years, you are also old, your times will go back to the past, and someone will replace you." Quote. "But you, only 19 years old, 20 years later, it's still your era, 40 years, it's still. It can't be like this, it's not good. I think you understand what I mean. I don't know who you are, how did you know about the Moon Eye plan, but it doesn't matter anymore, you won't survive tonight. Seriously, someone is already saying that you are the ninja god, the next Senju Hashirama, and I admit, you have this potential. I'm already a little reluctant to kill you, but I have to. It's like, I will definitely lose to you, Uchiha Madara, you are already old." Lu Han stared at Madara. "Since you admit that this is my time, you should hide in the cave honestly, why bother out? You should understand my troubles." "I don't understand. You're like a fool. Don't try to provoke me." Uchiha Madara shook his head at Lu Han, his eyes squinting. "You can't do it, a person like you. I don't think you should say such things. I've told you so much, you should feel it. I didn't despise you, I didn't treat you as a junior, why should I hurt people with my tongue?" No, what I said is true, that sentence is not to scold you, you. Really a fool." Lu Han emphasized the fact that Uchiha Madara was a fool. Uchiha Madara was silent for a while. Obviously, even with his mentality, being called a fool would still be uncomfortable. "I'll give you a chance." Madara spoke again from the silence. "I won't promise you anything, but you can listen," Lu Han said. "Join us." Uchiha Madara stretched out his hand to Lu Han. "Come. Let's change the world together." Chapter 0829 Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path. Lu Han can't understand Uchiha Madara's brain circuit. Invite Do you think that the whole world is like you, that there is something missing in Kudachu Shen's head, and that you will not be able to react to being deceived for half your life? Is Uchiha Madara really so brainy? Of course not. Perhaps it was forced helplessness. You're scared. Facing Uchiha Madara's invitation, Luhan responded with these 3 words. Uchiha Madara stared at Luhan, slowly put down his hand. The calmness on his face gradually faded away. He seemed a little angry. It's the shame of being seen through the mind and turned into anger. You're afraid of losing, right? Luhan said again. Actually, you're not afraid of death. Life doesn't mean much to you. What you're afraid of is that when you die, everything will be over. What plan? What a dream. Now without you, everything is over, so you are afraid. You want to convince me, want to bribe me, want me to be with you. Be a fool. Although you know that there is little hope, after all, in my life, there is no ups and downs like you have experienced, no one you understand. You know it's hard to convince me, but you still opened your mouth and pinned everything on the slightest chance. You're scared, right? Uchiha Madara's expressionless face. His heart has already suffered 10,000 critical hits. 10,000 grass mud horses had already rushed past him. Because Luhan is right. It was embarrassing. Uchiha Madara hadn't been so embarrassed for a long time, and he didn't bother to argue, to explain. Ha, ha 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 ha, cold light, good you cold light, ha 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 ha. Uchiha Madara laughed and laughed. You think you can see better than anyone else, so why don't you come with me? You still haven't seen it. Ching, in this sinful, filthy, ugly world, can you really be detached? Can you? I repeat, you are a fool. With you, am I not a fool? Luhan said to Uchiha Madara in a tone of, don't say it again, ask suicide again. Uchiha Madara restrained her smile again, looked at Luhan gloomily, and said hoarsely, I have to admit, you have already angered me. Do you know why I called you a fool? Luhan asked. Uchiha Madara was silent for a while, and seemed to be considering whether to continue talking with Luhan, and paused. Why? Because you were deceived. Luhan gave Uchiha Madara an ambiguous smile. Black Zetsu lied to you. Do you think the motto you saw at Nenga Shrine is true? Do you think Black Zetsu is really yours? Well, White Zetsu is really created by you with yin and yang escape. You are too naive. The so-called Moonai project is just a deception against you. Infinite Tsukuyomi is not the destination of the whole world. Dreams are dreams after all, the fake is fake. You're not a fool for what? Huh? What else do you know? Uchiha Madara had a gloomy face. He didn't believe Luhan's words, but Luhan was surprised that he knew so much. Otsutsuki Kagaya, do you know? Luhan continued, Black Zetsu, not your will, but Otsutsuki Kagaya's will. Long ago, Otsutsuki Kagaya. Enough. Uchiha Madara interrupted Luhan with a cold drink. Luhan didn't insist any longer. Uchiha Madara all the truth. Uchiha Madara would not believe it, because Luhan could not produce any evidence, and he could not explain why he knew this. On the other hand, Black Zetsu deceived Uchiha Madara for more than 30 years. Years later, the so-called Eye of the Moon project, Uchiha Madara has already formed an obsession with this, and he devoted the rest of his life to this project. It is not something that can be changed in a few words. Spiritual. If whispering, Uchiha Madara folded his hands together, his flying white hair shook violently, and a terrifying aura rose from him. Luhan retreated violently, also closing his hands. QB 9 tails chakra erupted on him. Rumbling, _. The ground was shaking, the whole mountain was shaking, and the roar seemed to tear Luhan's eardrums, but he saw that the boulder where Uchiha Madara was standing exploded directly. White smoke and dust shot into the sky at the same time, and the area within a kilometer radius was quickly destroyed. Smoke shrouded. A terrifying aura that Luhan had never experienced before appeared in the smoke. A behemoth, in place of the boulder, appeared at the foot of Uchiha Madara. Luhan withdrew far away in one breath. He had already entered the state of half-tailed beast. He was covered with tailed beast's coat, and there were 7 energy tails behind him, which made the whole person's aura become hideous. The smoke and dust dissipated quickly. When Lu Han saw Uchiha Madara again, he had changed into a different look. He was wearing gray Japanese casual clothes before, but now, he has changed into Yuhi-colored armor with 2 weapons, a chain sickle in his hand, and a huge gourd-shaped fan on his back. Uchiha's artifact, Gunbai Uchiwa. Lu Han remembered that there should also be a Gunbai Uchiwa in the Uchiha clan at this time. It is estimated that it should be a fake, or an imitation. The one in Uchiha Madara's hands is the real one. At the foot of Uchiha Madara, is a behemoth with a terrifying appearance. Like a mountain. It looks like a huge humanoid, but the body looks like dead wood, and most of the body is full of the texture of trees, with a big mouth, a total of 9 eyes, and behind this behemoth, there are 10 Jinchuriki column-shaped a bulge that looks like a broken tail. Exactly. 10 Tails body Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. He can actually channel Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Lu Han's heart sank. Speaking of which, it is hard to say how Uchiha Madara channeled Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. After all, he had already given away Rinnegan. At this time, he only had the transplanted backup Sharingan, but no Rinnegan. But from the other 2 perspectives, it is not impossible. First, Rinnegan is the eye that controls life and death, and the power contained in it is in the soul of the owner, so it is still possible for him to channel Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Second, he has linked himself to Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. He lives by Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, and Master Yin and Young Un may also possess the ability to channel Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. However, none of this matters. What Lu Han cares most about is whether he can fight with Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Chapter 0830-Blade. You must know that Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, is not counted in Uchiha Madara's combat power, different from Lu Han and Kyuubi, 9 Tails, Kushina and Wu Wei, Inuzuka Tears and Big Dog, and also different from Puppet Master and Puppets. These are all capable of fusion, fighting or cooperating with each other, and Uchiha Madara is not a 10 Tails Jinchuriki column force. How much strength Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, has nothing to do with him, but he can use it how much. This is a very serious question. At present, in Lu Han's eyes, Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, is Yuhi's name, and the information above his head is just the body of 10 Tails Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, and does not show his strength level. That is to say, Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, will not hurt Lu Han subjectively, but it is hard to say whether Uchiha Madara can control him to hurt Lu Han. Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, is really special. Unlike a puppet, it is more like a pure weapon. At present, it can only be commanded and controlled by someone to fight. It cannot fight by itself, because the strength it can exert depends entirely on the person who controls it. Can give it some strength. It is said that it has powerful combat power, but it is just an empty shell, and it is true that there is a huge vitality in it, but there is no chakra, the chakra of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, which is a tailed beast. To Kyuubi, 9 Tails, is its chakra. Now, all tailed beasts are not in the body of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Therefore, if Uchiha Madara were to control Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, to fight, the source of the energy would have to be himself, which would be a terrible burden on him. The smoke has dissipated. The moonlight splashed down, making Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path's massive body even more terrifying. The white-haired Uchiha Madara stood on the top of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, with the sickle in front of him, as if he had regained the feeling of the past. The momentum rose in him. 1 kilometer away. Lu Han stared at the behemoth, stared at Uchiha Madara, and a pair of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan spun wildly in his eyes. He is trying. Try to control Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. He doesn't know if he can control it, but it's okay to try. After all, Uchiha Madara doesn't have Rinnegan. It's useless. Uchiha Madara's voice rolled like thunder, and he had used the power of yin and yang to isolate everything. Give it up, put away your tricks. In front of absolute strength, everything you do will become futile. Where's Tsunade? Luhan asked Tsunade again. You won't see her again. Uchiha Madara replied coldly. It seems that he has the determination to kill Luhan. I advise you to return Tsunade to me. There is no need for us to fight today, otherwise, you will regret it. Han Guang, are you afraid? Tisk tisk, don't do this. I'm doing this for your own good. Humph. Uchiha Madara snorted coldly and stopped talking. In fact, he never thought of using Tsunade to threaten Luhan and let Luhan do what, because that would be pointless. If he wanted to kill Luhan, he couldn't use Tsunade to threaten Luhan and let Luhan commit suicide, right? It would be hell if it worked out. Since Luhan couldn't be directly killed, there was really no need to do anything else. Tsunade was caught, just to lead Hengguang here, so that Hengguang would not bring other people with him, that's all. The basin quickly became silent. Only the violent aura was rising, Luhan's black hair was dancing wildly with the wind, and Uchiha Madara's white hair was shaking with the wind. Four eyes facing each other. There seems to be an electric light flickering. Let's fight. Uchiha Madara suddenly shouted, jumped directly from Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, and disappeared like a heavy cannon. Light like thunder. Can Uchiha Madara use a knife? Of course. And his knives are very strong. It's just that his ninjutsu strength is far more than any strength in taijutsu, so now the world doesn't know much about his swordsmanship, and in the Sengoku era decades ago, whether it was Uchiha Madara or Senju Hashirama, in the Chaos Army. Among them, most of them are fighting with swordsmanship. It is said that you are known as the strongest swordsman, let me try. Uchiha Madara's voice sounded behind Luhan. Humph. Lu Leng snorted, but he didn't expect that the old Uchiha Madara would come to melee him, but his subordinates were not ambiguous and turned around to fight. Figures are like wind, and swords are like thunder. However, I saw two figures fighting at a speed that ordinary people couldn't understand. The huge basin was full of afterimages of the two of them. The sword of shock and the sickle collided again and again, and the shock waves swept up the sand again and again. The reason why Uchiha Madara chose to fight Luhan with swordsmanship is very simple. Because he wanted to kill Luhan quickly. He is old after all, and relying on Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, to continue his life, his strength is no longer as strong as he was in the past. If he was in his prime, killing Luhan would naturally be easy, but now, he can only spend some thought and use the most easy way to kill people. Uchiha Madara's biggest shortcoming now is his lack of physical fitness. Senju Hashirama for a day and a night with full output and firepower, and he was able to persevere. And now, he doesn't know how long he can maintain the best fighting state, an hour. 2 hours. Physical fitness is his biggest weakness. His degraded fighting consciousness, speed, agility, and strength will not lose to Luhan. Only physical fitness is completely incomparable. So he used the knife technique. Swordsmanship has a very obvious feature, that is, once there is a difference between strength and weakness, the gap is slightly larger, then the weaker side will die quickly, while ninjutsu is different. Although ninjutsu is more destructive, as long as the weaker side did not fall directly into the ninjutsu attack, and even if it barely blocked the attack, the battle could last for a long time. Especially if the strength has reached the level of cold light, it is very difficult to quickly defeat and kill him with ninjutsu. The two sides fought fiercely for 5 minutes. The entire basin, except for the forests on both sides, left footprints of the two in almost all other areas. This guy, if it's a war of attrition, huh? Lu Leng smiled. He already has a deep understanding of Uchiha Madara's swordsmanship. The two of them, one focusing on speed and the other focusing on skills, are inseparable. In fact, the advantage was on Luhan's side, because the old Uchiha Madara couldn't maintain his best condition for long. Uchiha Madara pulled away suddenly, hand seal spitting fire. Kaden, fire style, majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation. Chapter 0831_kill the game. A mass of flame spewed out of Uchiha Madara's mouth, and it swelled enormously in an instant. In terms of form, majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation should be an enlarged version of the grand fireball, but it should not exceed the scope of the fireball, and Uchiha Madara released the majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation that came out was like a mountain after the explosion. It is unimaginably huge, even more than 100 meters in diameter. Damn it! Luhan's face changed dramatically. He wanted to compete with Uchiha Madara against majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation. After all, LV9 has a huge advantage against LV6, and Luhan is still in the state of half-tailed beast, but now look, Uchiha Madara's majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation, it's pretty scary. Elf, what's going on? Luhan asked eagerly while dodging. Uchiha Madara's majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation, why is it so big? Majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation could have been this big. The elf replied. Ah, Luhan was surprised. At this time, Uchiha Madara came to Luhan again. Luhan didn't understand the situation and did not fight with Uchiha Madara. Precarious. What did you mean just now? Elf. Luhan said anxiously, don't pretend to be dead. The convergence control of the flame, the master is in the hands of the caster. The elf said again. Luhan understood a little. Uchiha Madara was chasing him. Luhan couldn't concentrate on the challenge because he communicated with the elves. He also understood that a slight negligence by a master could lead to a big mistake, so he kept avoiding it. Thinking about it, Luhan seemed to understand something, and finally he did not hide, and faced Uchiha Madara. The sword was like thunder. The two fought for a few more minutes. Uchiha Madara didn't have the mind to fight attrition, and walked away again. As soon as his body zoomed in and out, he appeared dozens of meters away. In theory, White Zetsu's mayfly technique came from Senju Hashirama. Of cells, Senju Hashirama should know the mayfly technique, and Uchiha Madara, who has Senju Hashirama cells, should also. But he didn't know what kind of instant ability he was using. Original book, there are only dozens of abilities that Uchiha Madara has displayed, but in fact, his master must be more than that. Just for the Uchiha family's signature Kaden, fire style, he should have dozens of masters. Species, and the techniques obtained from Senju Hashirama cells are even more numerous and varied. But many techniques, Uchiha Madara may not have used it a few times in his life. Same is true for Luhan. He has mastered thousands of ninjutsu, but only dozens of them are commonly used, and the rest are useless. Uchiha Madara appeared dozens of meters away from Luhan, and once again hand seal spit fire. Because of the speed of his hand seal, it seemed as if he shook his hands and spit out fire. Kaden, fire style, majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation. It's majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation again. It's huge again. This time, Luhan did not dodge or dodge, and hand seal confronted him. Kaden, fire style, great fire destruction. The showdown between LV6 majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation and LV9 ultimate great fire destruction. The great fire destruction was like an arrow and a spear, and the terrifying flames pierced the mountain-like fire directly, hitting Uchiha Madara. Luhan immediately understood in his heart that the reason why Uchiha Madara's majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation is so big is because Uchiha Madara enlarged the flame, just enlarged its size, but its power did not increase. On the contrary, because the flame is scattered, it is easier to be penetrated. Luhan didn't understand the purpose of Uchiha Madara. But he got it right away. Saw that after the great fire destruction would penetrate like a mountain of fire, the raging fire had already swallowed up Uchiha Madara, but Uchiha Madara was chasing his hands backward and took down the gun by Uchiwa on his back. directly to the Great Fire Destruction. Uchiha bounces back. Great Fire Destruction turned its head and hit Lu Han. Fuck! Lu Han exclaimed. Uchiha Madara is so calculated. He grasped everything very accurately. He deliberately enlarged the majestic destroyer flame, Great Fire Annihilation first, which was to give Lu Han a chance to penetrate the majestic destroyer flame, Great Fire Annihilation, but the majestic destroyer flame, Great Fire Annihilation that was penetrated did not. It will disappear, and it will still form a turbulent momentum towards Lu Han, and then, LV9 Great Fire Destruction will be rebounded. This is equivalent to LV6 Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation and LV9 Great Fire Destruction forming a combined attack, hitting Lu Han at the same time. Cold. At this moment, Lu Han had no chance to perform his counter ninjutsu again. Everything happened too fast. In layman's terms, the opportunity Uchiha Madara seized was when Lu Han's old strength had exhausted his new strength. Although Lu Han also had the ability to rebound, he could only rebound one technique, but he was hit by two techniques. Hide. Lu Han retreated violently, dodging the surging flames, and quickly retreated. Other side of the flame, Uchiha Madara disappeared immediately after wielding Gunbai Uchiwa. He rebounded his ninjutsu with his ninja tools, but he didn't have much effort, and his whole body was in good shape, while Lu Han, on the other side of the flame, was disturbed by the rhythm. The western end of the raging fire. The half-tailed animalized Lu Han was retreating, but after 2 breaths, his whole body tightened, and the hairs on his back exploded. He felt the murderous intent suddenly appearing behind him. Uchiha Madara ghosts usually appear behind Lu Han, slashing straight to the back of Lu Han's neck. If this knife was hit, with Uchiha Madara's power, Lu Han's head would have to be chopped off. And Uchiha Madara's sword skills are not weaker than Lu Han's, and the speed is terrifyingly fast. Everything is too fast, and Lu Han wants to turn around and fight, but it's too late. Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse, broke out at this moment. A row of sharp thorns burst out from the back of Lu Han's back in an instant, to counteract Uchiha Madara's knife, giving Lu Han a momentary chance to breathe. Uchiha Madara had already taken the lead, but he immediately retracted the knife and disappeared, and then the ground burst, and countless thorns and vines were thrown from the ground, attacking Lu Han in all directions. Mokuden, wood style. Immediately afterwards, dozens of Uchiha Madara flashes appeared above Lu Han's head. Still Mokuden, wood style, wooden avatar. They all had strange seals, some kind of sealing technique, and the power of yin and yang escape. At this moment, Lu Han lost all sense of Hiraishinkanai to the outside world. One side, LV9 Great Fire Destruction and LV6 Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation are still sweeping. Around the body, thorns and vines form a siege cage. Above, dozens of wooden clones activated the sealing technique at the same time, imprisoning Lu Han in place, and isolating Lu Han from other Hiraishinkanai's induction from the outside world. This is Uchiha Madara's thunderous momentum. Kill the game. Chapter 0832_Cold Light vs Uchiha Madara. It seems that every powerhouse with a terrifying strength in the Meganon world, in addition to possessing a frightening combat power, also has an extraordinary combat strategy ability, even if it is as mad as Uchiha Madara. If Lu Han was weaker than him, he would be too lazy to use a strategy and directly overwhelm him. But Lu Han did not appear to be weaker than him, on the contrary, he had an advantage over him. Therefore, if Uchiha Madara wanted to solve Lu Han quickly, he had to use some calculations in the battle. His calculations were successful. Twice with the oversized version of the Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation, in order to have an instant chance when Lu Han counterattacks. In the crisis, Lu Han didn't have many options. Even if he had all kinds of abilities, he couldn't do anything because of lack of time. He had no choice but to stretch out his hand and trigger the Ring of 10,000 Techniques. Boom _ Futon, wind style, the art of flower rain cutting. The huge lotus flower composed of small wind blades bloomed in front of Lu Han, sweeping in all directions, the wooden thorns and vines were destroyed, dozens of wooden clones above were smashed, and the attacking majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation and great fire destruction was resisted for several breaths. Lu Han's futon, wind style, flower and rain cutting technique is only LV4, while majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation is LV6, and great fire destruction is LV9. Even if the latter two are only A-level ninjutsu, their power is still very strong. To exceed the flower rain cut. But Lu Han is in the state of half-tailed beast, and the power of the flower rain cutting technique has increased several times. For Lu Han, he removed all the constraints and obstacles around him. Lu Han pulled away, the flickering disappeared, and left Uchiha Madara directly. The flames burst, burned half of the basin, and quickly extinguished. When the flames disappeared, Lu Han and Uchiha Madara, whose positions were uncertain, stopped at the same time and stared at each other. Instant. Uchiha Madara stared at Lu Han and questioned. He just thought that he could kill Lu Han directly, but the killing was broken by Lu Han, and everything was due to the futon, wind style, forbidden technique that was displayed in that instant. Do you have a lot of chakra? Lu Han didn't answer Uchiha Madara's question, but asked in a slightly sarcastic tone, a few more times with Mokuden, wood style, I don't need to kill you, you should die too. Hey, Uchiha Madara sneered, as if too lazy to explain, and then ran away. The figure killed directly in front of Lu Han, and in just a few tens of seconds, he fought with Lu Han for thousands of knives, and his body suddenly split into three, besieging Lu Han, but Lu Han formed an absolute defense with the knife light, and the fast knife dance was inseparable. Through the wind, he broke Uchiha Madara's two clones one after another, and then threw hundreds of Hiraishin kunai in a way that filled the sky and rained, then disappeared, and killed Uchiha Madara with the kunai attack. Uchiha Madara fled away, and then the entire basin shook violently. Mokuden, wood style, world of trees wall. One by one, towering trees burst out of the ground, and in just a few breaths, the entire basin became lush and lush. Those Hiraishin kunai scattered all over the place, many were drawn by the vines and were smashed to pieces. Old man, you are in good health. Lu Han didn't forget to tease Uchiha Madara. At the same time, he attacked the entire basin with Shikatsumiku, Dead Bone Pulse, Early Fern Dance, instantly outputting 10% chakra, and with the same attack range, the bottom-up attack destroy the tree forest that Uchiha Madara just summoned. Kaden, Fire Style, Dragon Flame Release Song Jutsu. Uchiha Madara hand seal made a big move. Kaden, Fire Style, Dragon Flame Release Song Jutsu. Lu Han followed hand seal to make a big move. Ninjutsu vs. Boom. Uchiha Madara is no match. Because Uchiha Madara can't break the world's upper limit of LV6, but Lu Han is only able to raise the highest level of ninjutsu to LV9. Uchiha Madara disappeared without a trace. Appeared again and fought with Lu Han again. The aging Uchiha Madara is still fierce and unusual, but apart from calculating Lu Han once and almost killing Lu Han, he never found any chance after that. Compared with ninjutsu, Lu Han is not weaker than him. Compared with forbidden technique, he is no stronger than Lu Han. He can't kill Lu Han. Of course, Lu Han couldn't kill him either. However, both of them have whole cards that are useless. In fact, Lu Han is very worried, although he knows that with Uchiha Madara's current state, he should not be able to use terrifying ultimate moves such as Wood Dragon Jutsu, otherwise his strength will break the rating. But Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, has been standing in the one side of the basin did not move. Uchiha Madara called out Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, which could not be used as a display. Perhaps, it would be a great burden for him to drive Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, to fight, which should be the reason why he has not used Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, until now. Time flies. In a flash, the two fought for another hour. Uchiha Madara once tried to control Lu Han with the sealing technique, but Lu Han ran away with the technique of Hiraishin. This guy, QB, Nine Tails. It's QB, Nine Tails, helping him. Otherwise he can't be this strong. Uchiha Madara seemed calm on the outside, expressionless, but in fact he was roaring inside. Can Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse's dance of early ferns really break the world of trees wall? Originally it was impossible, but the dance of the early ferns displayed in the half-tailed beast state, the power was increased several times, so it was enough. It is a half-tailed beast, and it is Kyubi, Nine Tails chakra, which has pushed Luhan's strength to a new height, speed, strength, perception ability, ninjutsu power, etc., all aspects of ability, all because of the half-tailed beast. To be promoted. Damn it. Uchiha Madara bit Kiba, dodged around to Luhan's side, and slashed with a knife. Luhan naturally wouldn't be hurt by this technique. Fought for a few more minutes, and unknowingly, under the intentional guidance of Uchiha Madara, the two came closer to Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Uchiha suddenly pulled away, and Mokuden, wood style, broke out. Clone to Luhan. However, hundreds of vines sprang out from the ground and covered Luhan like a net. At the same time, more than 10 wooden clones, Uchiha Madara, also rushed towards Luhan from different angles. Luhan's sword was as bright as rain, crushing all the attacks around him with the force of the wind sweeping the leaves. At the same time, the body of Uchiha Madara flickered on the top of Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, his hands clasped together, his white hair fluttered wildly, and unknown mental fluctuations erupted in a terrifying gesture. Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, moves. The 9 eyes opened at the same time, pounced on Luhan, opened a terrifying giant mouth, and let out a screeching sound. A ray of black light shot out of Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. That's a chakra chain. Instantly hit Luhan. Chapter 0833_Seal Kyubi, Nine Tails. Too fast. Luhan had already realized the abnormality. When the scream appeared, he wanted to retreat first with the technique of Hiraishin, but the attack came too fast. The chakra chains spit out by Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, are not ordinary energy attacks, nor do they have the usual nature transformation and morphological changes. Just spit out chakra. So too fast. Before Luhan's body disappeared, he was hit by the chakra chain, but the process of his disappearance was not interrupted. It seemed that the black light directly knocked him out. Above the head of Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, Uchiha Madara looked older, and his face was exhausted. This exhaustion was worse than when he and Luhan had been fighting for more than an hour just now. Because his body is really overwhelmed, and driving Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, the body must be under enormous pressure. He really didn't want to use Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, if it wasn't necessary. Fortunately, the blow just now hit. Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, regained its calm. Luhan appeared on the scorched land 1 kilometer away from Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. His body changed rapidly, and all the tail animal characteristics disappeared quickly, like degeneration. After a few breaths, he recovered. The appearance of a normal person. The chakra chains of Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Luhan muttered. He already knew the effect of the blow from Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, just now. That blow had no killing effect, and if there was, it couldn't be that fast. Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, the only function of the chakra chain is to seal the tailed beast on Luhan. Kyubi, 9 tails, is sealed. It can also be said that the chakra chain reinforced the 8th trigram's seal on Luhan, so that Luhan completely lost contact with Kyubi, 9 tails. He could no longer enter the state of half-tailed beast, and could no longer borrow Kyubi, 9 tails, chakra. Han Guang, do you still think that I am old? Uchiha Madara's voice rolled like thunder, looking at Luhan's eyes, full of unruly colors. Luhan's ability as a human Jinchuriki, column force. Uchiha Madara feels that the victory is in his hands. Old fool, you haven't won yet, why are you trying to take advantage of me? Luhan seemed very calm, making it impossible to see what he was thinking. That's right. Uchiha Madara nodded. then disappeared directly above Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Lu Han was highly vigilant, his eyes narrowed, and then he quickly turned around. The sword of Jinghong burst out with a terrifying light, and Uchiha Madara, who appeared, fought with Lu Han recklessly, knocking Lu Han back a few steps, and then the ground burst once again, countless big trees burst out of the ground, and the tree world came again. This time, if Lu Han can't break the tree world, he will probably die in the tree world. Jinghong peerless. Lightning flashed, and a huge thunderball swept a passage in the forest. Lu Han ran quickly along the passage, and at the same time hand-sealed. Multiple shadow clone technique. Countless white smoke exploded around Lu Han, and thousands of Lu Han appeared. Each avatar, Lu Han, was by no means weak, but it was not considered to be very powerful. Stop and wave again. The faceless man and the barbarian shield soldier appeared. Go and hold Uchiha Madara, Lu Han said quickly, saying this to the faceless man. Under the leadership of the faceless man and the barbarian shield soldiers, thousands of clones, Lu Han, rushed towards Uchiha Madara. Kaiden fire-style ninjutsu broke out, forming a violent roar, and a terrifying shock wave. The smoke and dust were rising, obscuring the night. Even if Uchiha Madara is strong, it is impossible to quickly solve these enemies, not to mention the faceless man and the brutal shield. The strength of the soldiers, cooperation, even the thousands of clones, are not so easy to kill. Lu Han consumed a full 50% of the chakra for them. In fact, normally, 10% of Lu Han's chakra is enough for 1,000 avatars. But Lu Han was afraid that they would die too soon, so he gave more. Chaos, unstoppable. Taking advantage of the chaos, Lu Han left the King-Shelling Basin and used Hiraishin's technique to quickly leave 10 kilometers away. He drilled into the forest under the cliff, and found a relatively hidden location. He crossed his knees under the giant tree to stabilize his mind. Quiet. Lu Han entered a mysterious ethereal state. The whole person was calm like an eternal sculpture. The rustling of the trees in the forest became more and more intense. It seemed that a swallowing Uzumaki appeared in Lu Han's body, producing a huge the power of attraction. The natural energy in the forest began to gather towards Lu Han and penetrated into his body. After a minute. Ding! Remind Subversive 3665 that the barbarian shield soldier has been killed, and there are still 24 hours left in the cooling time of the psychic. Another half minute. Ding! Remind Subversive 3665 that Faceless Shinobi has been killed, and there are still 72 hours left in the cooldown of psychic. It was too fast. In just 2 minutes, the barbarian shield soldier and the faceless man were killed one after another. Obviously, Uchiha Madara was on a rampage to kill the enemy. If not, even if he was a level 70 white silver boss, he would not be able to kill so quickly. The combined strength is comparable to the faceless man and the savage shield soldier of the level 70 bronze boss. After all, Uchiha Madara is only one person, and his attack cannot make the sword and shield duo quickly exhaust the chakra. It can only be a frontal kill. This should be said to be a very scary thing. After all, in addition to the sword and shield duo, there are thousands of Hengguang clones helping out. Perhaps, Uchiha Madara has already surpassed the Faceless in battle strategy to achieve such rapid results. King-Shelling Basin, the cold light clones are still overwhelming Uchiha Madara, and Uchiha Madara is slaughtering them. These clones are really, very fragile, and it can be said that they will die after a single blow. Whether it's the slashing of the vines or the slashing of Uchiha Madara's sword, they will be beaten into white mist. However, after all, there is a certain quantitative basis. Not to mention 1,000 clone ninjas, even 1,000 pigs will take some time to kill, not to mention, these cold light clones are all capable of ninjutsu. About 5 minutes before and after, Uchiha Madara solved all the troubles and slaughtered the Hengguang clone. All dead, all gone. The body of the cold light is missing. Find him. He won't leave, he must be nearby. Uchiha Madara shouted. White Zetsu appeared in the forest and disappeared. Chapter 0834 Senpo, Sage Art. Practicing Sage Mode for nearly a year and a half, Luhan has never used Sage Mode in battle, not only because it is a trump card, but also because he can't enter Sage Mode quickly, so it is a bit troublesome to use Sage Mode to fight. In the original work, the ninja who can quickly enter Sage Mode is Senju Hashirama. Normally, entering Sage Mode cannot be so fast at all. You need to sit on the ground in a calm state to absorb natural energy. The energies are equal, that is, 1/3 each. No more or less, otherwise the absorbed natural energy will dissipate, and you will not be able to enter Sage Mode at all. Luhan speculates that the reason why Senju Hashirama can quickly enter Sage Mode is related to his pervert chakra control. He can quickly absorb natural energy while accurately controlling the ratio of the three energies. Luhan, on the other hand, didn't have the skills of Senju Hashirama yet. However, the speed at which he entered Sage Mode was already dissatisfied. White Zetsu got Uchiha Madara's order and quickly escaped from the battlefield and walked along the ground. He quickly noticed the abnormality. It was a very strange feeling. It seemed that something was moving between the heavens and the earth. He stuck his head out of the grass. The terrifying light of the sword cut off White Zetsu's head. White Zetsu was stunned, and he shrank back. Because he had just stuck his head out and had not yet escaped the state of the mayfly technique, he avoided the blow. Luhan ignored him and went straight to the basin battlefield. In the basin battlefield, the trees were moving like water. Uchiha Madara stood on top of a towering tree, and suddenly frowned, as if he felt something, and moved his footsteps subconsciously. Luhan, who appeared silently behind him, had already chopped off the knife, but missed. Only then did Uchiha Madara react. He was able to dodge the blow just now. It was his sixth sense that saved him. Seeing that Luhan had been exposed, he stopped suppressing his breath. After chasing Uchiha Madara closely, it seemed that he could kill him at any time. Rumbling. Uchiha Madara was shocked, and quickly mobilized the trees and vines to attack Luhan, and at the same time retreated violently. Branches, vines, wood thorns. The attacks hit Luhan overwhelmingly. Luhan had the tendency to block and kill the gods and Buddhas. He kept his feet on the ground, destroying everything in front of him. The sawdust flew and the smoke was like a cloud. Luhan killed him abruptly and approached Uchiha Madara again. Uchiha Madara's expression was awe-inspiring, but she was not afraid. She stopped retreating and faced Luhan. The two fought against each other for 16 swords in a row. The 17th sword, Luhan's power exploded. The terrifying force was transmitted to Uchiha Madara's sickle through the Sword of Shock. The sickle flew straight out, and Uchiha Madara vomited blood and flew upside down. I can't stand it at all. Luhan in Sage Mode has reached the ultimate combat power, surpassing the general level 70 White-Silver boss, and his strength is close to the level 70 Gold boss. Moreover, this is still under the condition that Luhan's Master Sage Mode is not deep. Sage Mode, damn it! The old Uchiha Madara roared hoarsely. He saw Yuhi's colorful face on Luhan's face. He naturally knows Sage Mode. Because Senju Hashirama has mastered Sage Mode. Luhan chases and kills Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara fled frantically, and when he reached the vicinity of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, he stepped on the giant tree and turned around abruptly, his hands clasped together. Go to hell. The tree world made a roaring sound. This time, the entire tree world forest moved, and thorns flew out like javelins, hitting Luhan. Countless tiny roots erupted from the ground below the forest. Extremely long, rapidly extending, trying to wrap Luhan around, some trees turned into huge wooden hammers and hit Luhan. The huge wooden palm wanted to slap Luhan to death. The thorns were like whips, and they came madly. The giant tree seemed to have turned into a human being, waving its thick branches and attacking with the power of breaking rocks. This time it wasn't Uchiha Madara who went berserk, but the whole forest went berserk. Attacks are everywhere. Moreover, the trees in the forest are still getting bigger, some towering trees are taller than the distant hills. Uchiha Madara has already tried his best. At this time, with his physical state, he is unable to use ultimate moves such as Wood Dragon Jutsu and Wood Golem Jutsu. The technique of killing thorns, the technique of cutting, the technique of wooden hammer, he can activate all, and the slightly more difficult Mokuden, wood style, the technique of all cloth bags, he can also release the less powerful simplified version. Uchiha Madara is no longer holding back, he releases as many Mokuden, wood style, attacking secrets as possible, and chakra is also consuming frantically and quickly, he wants to directly decide the winner with this. Luhan was deeply caught up in it and had to work hard. Whole body exploded with thunder and entered the Raiden, Thunder Style, Chakra mode. The defense power of the Raiden, Thunder Style, armor in Sage mode was probably no worse than that of Lao Ai's Raiden, Thunder Style, armor. Senpo, Sage Art Rasengan. The Lavender Rasengan broke out in the siege, setting off a surging wave, the surrounding trees were swept away, and all attacks were destroyed, but immediately new trees appeared, and new attacks arrived. Senpo, Sage Art Spiralan Pill. Senpo, Sage Art Kaden, Fire Style, Dragon Flame Release Song Jutsu. Senpo, Sage Art Futon, Wind Style. In the countless Mokuden, wood style, attacks, Luhan flashed left and right, bombarded indiscriminately, the forest was destroyed again and again, and, resurrected, again and again. The Mokuden, wood style, attack continued. In fact, Luhan, there is a chance to escape with the technique of Hiraishin, but there is no point in leaving, he cannot maintain Sage mode for too long, and he also knows that Uchiha Madara has given up. Both of them don't have much time. Luhan lifted the Sage mode first, or Uchiha Madara reached the bottom of chakra first, or his body couldn't hold it up, was the key to victory or defeat. Luhan didn't think he would lose to Uchiha Madara. Because he cheated, before returning to the basin battlefield, he drank half of the blue medicine he had accumulated, barely filling up the chakra. His state was much better than Uchiha Madara. Time flies. I can't tell the speed, because every moment is very tense, every step of the crisis. Luhan fought desperately. Sudden, cold, screams sounded in the distance. It was Tsunade's voice. Chapter 0835 _ I'll kill you uncle. Waking up from the confusion, Tsunade still has the blood and fire that hadn't dissipated in his mind. The roar echoed in Tsunade's mind, Hanzo's treacherous eyes, Onoki's sinister smile, and that white bastard. Opened her eyes again, and in front of Tsunade was a blue-gray stone wall. She could feel the pain behind her, and the sense of restraint wrapped around her hands and feet. Tsunade, who was born in the Senju clan and had a deep sense of entanglement with the Uzumaki clan, understood that this kind of restraint sense, it is sealing technique. The body can still transform chakra, but the chakra movement is extremely sluggish, and the hands cannot be put together, and it is impossible to hand seal. Tsunade finally saw the surrounding environment clearly. This was a cave that was not anywhere. It was very large. There were torches hanging on the stone wall not far away. The white figure stood a few meters away like a ghost, and his face was very strange. Tsunade stood up, staggering. She wanted to ask something, but was powerless. I didn't expect that he would actually. White Zetsu muttered, turned into a shadow and rushed in front of Tsunade, holding Tsunade to the side of the cave passage. Just now, White Zetsu was ordered by Uchiha Madara to bring Tsunade into the battlefield. This step was not in Uchiha Madara's previous plan. Uchiha Madara never thought of using Tsunade to coerce Luhan, but an uncontrollable accident happened. The old Uchiha Madara couldn't beat the cold light of the immortal state at all. He only had this last step left. Chess. White Zetsu and Tsunade flew through the winding cave passages, twisted and turned, and then stepped up the upward slope. This cave is deep underground. In less than a minute, White Zetsu and Tsunade rushed in. Channel, jumped to the surface. This is a mountain with strange rocks, which can be hundreds of meters high. The moonlight pours on the top of the mountain, leaving a silver light. In the north of the mountain, it is a basin sunken in the mountains, and the vast forest there is like a tide. Usually in flow, the terrifying Mokuden wood style attacks wave after wave, and in the middle of the forest, there is a figure rushing back and forth, constantly destroying all the attacks around the body, but Mokuden wood style attacks seem endless. The west side of the Wood Realm Forest, a huge Geto Mazo demonic statue of the outer path, stands proudly, and there is a figure with flying white hair on it. It is an old man, his face is very old with wrinkles, and he looks like he may be 90 years old. Tsunade stared at it all, she didn't know what was going on. But see. In the heavy attack of Mokuden wood style, a terrifying flame erupted, sweeping across the small basin, destroying all Mokuden wood style attacks, and a thin figure leapt from the newly formed clearing, killing the old man on top of the wooden monster. Countless trees and vines burst out, blocking his way. Tsunade's pupils contracted violently, and he exclaimed, "Cold." She saw it clearly, and the figure she got was her husband, Han Guang. Lu Han, who was fighting desperately, was shocked, and suddenly turned his head to look up the mountain in the south. He saw Tsunade and White Zetsu, who was holding Tsunade hostage. On Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, Uchiha Madara breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, his hair was not only white, but even had a dry yellow feeling, like straw. His face, expression, and body were extremely tired. Hangguang, make a choice. You die or she dies. Uchiha Madara shouted. I'll kill you, uncle. Lu Han shouted violently, dodging and disappearing into the siege. Next moment, Lu Han appeared at the foot of Nanshan Mountain in the basin. Uchiha Madara followed him directly behind Lu Han. He knew that it was impossible for Lu Han to bow his head and admit defeat. He didn't expect to kill Lu Han directly. Then Tsunade moved out, and wanted it just made Lu Han uneasy. Uchiha Madara's sickle was like a thunderbolt, slashing behind Lu Han. Lu Han turned around fiercely, and the sword of shock was cut out. Boom! Uchiha Madara flew upside down like a cannonball, spitting up blood again. Lu Han ignored him, threw out her Aishin Kunai, and went straight to White Zetsu and Tsunade. He believed that White Zetsu would not dare to hurt Tsunade, otherwise there would be no means of checks and balances, and it would be meaningless to hold Tsunade hostage. White Zetsu moved wildly up the mountain with Tsunade. Lu Han flashed up the mountain and approached White Zetsu at high speed. Sudden. A ghostly figure appeared in front of White Zetsu and Tsunade, holding a scythe and carrying Gunbai Uchiwa on his back. The scythe and the blade slashed horizontally, blocking both White Zetsu and Tsunade behind. Uchiha Madara, with these bloodstains on the corner of his mouth, stared at Lu Han with sharp eyes. Wrath Thrower. Lu Han suddenly stopped moving forward and looked at Uchiha Madara with gloomy eyes. This is the most effective threat. White Zetsu didn't dare to mess around. He didn't dare to hurt Tsunade, because he was a little brother, but Uchiha Madara didn't have any scruples, and when he was in a hurry, he dared to kill anyone and wouldn't keep his hand. On the cliff, Lu Han was only 100 meters away from Uchiha Madara. Hangguang, actually I don't want to take this step, you should understand. Uchiha Madara stared at Lu Han. You forced me. So, you want to kill me? Lu Han looked at Uchiha Madara with bloodshot eyes, and glanced at Tsunade again. The moment his eyes fell on Tsunade's face, his cold eyes turned into a touch of tenderness. If you're willing to die, that's even better. Uchiha Madara twitched the corners of his mouth, revealing a weird smile. Do you think it's possible? Lu Han asked bluntly. He always thought that people who would be threatened with suicide are 24K pure idiots. Because that doesn't solve any problems, kills yourself, and doesn't save anyone. Do not expect mercy from the enemy. The rejection was so straightforward. Uchiha Madara narrowed his eyes. It will make people chill when you say that. Ha! Lu Leng laughed. Uchiha Madara. I advise you to let her go and give her back to me. This is the end of today's matter. If you dare to hurt her, I promise, you. Absolutely. With that child named Nagato, you will all die. Your Moon Eye plan will never succeed again. Uchiha Madara made a strange voice. He didn't expect that Luhan even knew Nagato. Behind him, Tsunade, who was being held hostage by White Zetsu, showed a strange expression. That name. Uchiha Madara. Chapter 0836-Rampage Tsunade. Tsunade stared at the gray-haired back with wide eyes. Is he Uchiha Madara? To Tsunade, Uchiha Madara only exists in legends, because when she was born, many years had passed since the Battle of End Valley. Uchiha Madara died at the hands of Grandpa Senju Hashirama. Is he still alive? Judging from his age, the white-haired ninja in front of him looked to be 90 years old, but it was exactly the age when Uchiha Madara was still alive. Han Guang, what happened today is that I misestimated your strength. I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. Sage mode, huh? Uchiha Madara stared at Lu Han. Go away. We will fight again in the future. As for you, wife, I will take her away. You can rest assured, I will not hurt her. Ha 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 ha. Are you afraid? Lu Han asked. You think I'm afraid of you? You are not afraid of me. I know you are not afraid of death. You are just afraid that after you die, the Moon Eye project will not be able to continue. Uchiha Madara. If you are a man, let her go. We will fight a fair fight, life and death resentment. Hangguang, you should know that the trick is useless to me. You're afraid of dying at my hands. You know you're not as good as me, right? I admit, you are indeed strong. Weak. Coward. People like you want to change the world. As I said, the trick is no use for me. In fact, Uchiha Madara's face was already very ugly. Lu Han provoked him again and again. He was not like Shisui, but he also knew that he was not Han Guang's opponent in Sage mode at all, and he would die. At this time, the surging natural energy on Lu Han's body quickly weakened, and the Yuhi-colored lines on his face quickly disappeared. He quit Sage mode. It was not that he took the initiative to withdraw, but that the time had come and the natural energy had been exhausted. Lu Han can also enter Sage mode again, but he needs to reabsorb natural energy. He doesn't know much about the master of Sage mode, so he can only do this. His talent is limited. If he is given another 10 or 8 years, his immortal state strength will probably approach the 90th level. However, there is no such thing. Are you coming to fight? After Lu Han's breath weakened, he still stared at Uchiha Madara, fighting intently. This time, Uchiha Madara hesitated. He really thought about this issue very seriously. This time he moved Tsunade out, but he still couldn't defeat Lu Han, who was in a turmoil. Han was forced to quit Sage mode, which made his mind come alive. No Sage mode. Kyubi, 9 tails, is sealed and cannot be transformed into a beast. At this time, Han Guang has no peak combat power, not even the previous 30% combat power. Uchiha Madara is thinking, does he have a chance to kill Han Guang? After all, his state is not as good as before, and his physical energy consumption is too great. Behind Uchiha Madara, Tsunade's body was trembling, and his emotions were a little excited, and it was difficult to calm down. She has almost figured out what happened. Although she doesn't know the inside story, the situation on the surface is not complicated. From the moment he was arrested, this was a conspiracy against his husband Han Guang, but at this point, the husband who had the upper hand, has once again entered a life and death situation because of himself. Uchiha Madara was thinking, and his mind was on Lu Han. White Zetsu was very careful and stared at Lu Han. He was very afraid that Lu Han would suddenly rush over and cut himself. Tsunade, who was being held hostage, slowly clenched his fists. In her body, the chakra that was continuously transformed suddenly accelerated, because the seal was placed on her body, so the fluctuation of chakra aura did not show up. Until the moment when she broke out. The meridians in the body burst inch by inch. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted from Tsunade's body, all the seals were violently broken, and the extreme strength of her physical skills exploded. She first raised her shoulders slightly, and the terrifying force hit White Zetsu, and White Zetsu suddenly flew out. Immediately afterwards, Tsunade raised his fist and slammed Uchiha Madara's back with a tragic momentum. Everything is complicated, but in fact Tsunade is abrupt, fast and outrageous. Uchiha Madara's attention was all on Luhan. He didn't even think that there would be a problem behind him, until the terrifying aura appeared. He subconsciously defended, but saw that a black light had already lit up on him. This technique. What is it? It doesn't matter anymore, because it was punched by Tsunade before it was formed. This blow hit the heart of Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara's clothes were all torn apart, and the back was torn with extremely ferocious wounds. The flesh burst, and the broken bones turned out, vaguely, and even the beating heart could be seen. Boom _ The old Uchiha Madara was hit hard by Tsunade, and was thrown away like a cannonball. Uchiha Madara was still flying upside down in the sky. He felt that his heart had been broken. With an incredible expression on his face, and endless panic, he never thought that he did not die in the hands of Senju Hashirama, nor was he born in this era. The king Hengwang defeated, but died at the hands of Senju Hashirama's granddaughter, Hengwang's wife, Tsunade. That woman. Uchiha Madara lost control of Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, and Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, who was standing in the basin, exploded with white smoke, and then disappeared, back to the place where the world of ninja was built. Somewhere in the underground cave, Uchiha Madara, who was flying upside down, also disappeared. He set up the forbidden technique on Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, which is a psychic secret technique. Once he is seriously injured and cannot control Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, it will disappear on its own, and at the same time, the psychic magic on Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, will directly absorb him. This is Uchiha Madara's life-saving means. No matter how much damage is received, just return to Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, where a super large number of Senju Hashirama's cells are grown. And that might save him. Luhan was stunned. Tsunade's way of breaking the game made him chill from the bottom of his heart. No one could have imagined that today's battle would end because of Tsunade. Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, disappeared. Uchiha Madara also disappeared. White Zetsu didn't know where did you get hit. After an instant, Luhan rushed in front of Tsunade like lightning. After Tsunade finished the attack, he seemed to have lost all his strength and fell from the side of the cliff like a kite with a broken string. Chapter 0837-Resurrection. The night is cold and silent, and the moonlight is dusty. Luhan hugged Tsunade and fell into the woods under the cliff. In his arms, there was already a warm corpse. Tsunade was dead. This is the price she paid for forcibly breaking Uchiha Madara's seal and almost killing Uchiha Madara directly. Too fast. Before she died, she didn't even have time to speak to Luhan. Luhan knelt in the forest, holding Tsunade horizontally, his body trembling uncontrollably. Tsunade's eyes had no time to close. There were tears in the corners of his eyes, and his absent-minded gaze stared at the sky. Luhan was trembling, the world was in him, his eyes turned gray and bright, only Tsunade in front of him, fresh Yuhi's blood, crystal tears, Madara's colorful and endlessly poignant beauty. Luhan suddenly felt the breath of life on Tsunade, but this breath does not belong to Tsunade. Very faint, but real. Luhan grinned sadly, blood and tears dripped from his eyes, and there was still a roar in his mind, and after a while, it seemed that his consciousness was about to be torn apart. Endless blankness and emptiness enveloped his soul, until he lifted with trembling hands, he pressed Tsunade's stomach. There is a little life bred there. Very fragile life. And because the mother just died and lost her mother's support, that little life is coming to an end. Luhan could feel that he was connected to that little life by his bloodline. Luhan's eyes brightened. He finally recovered from the dizziness and confusion. He remembered what he should do. His right eye, Luhan's left eye, is eternal. Mangekyo is staring at Tsunade, and his pupil technique, time and space tide, is activated. Retreat. Luhan doesn't know whether the tide of time and space can bring people back to life. Theoretically possible, but whether it can be done, Luhan can't guarantee, but this does not prevent Luhan from doing his best. After 10 seconds, Tsunade quickly returned to the state he had just died, which was very easy. Although Tsunade was a powerful energy body, he was much weaker than Luhan. After that, Luhan felt a sense of stagnation, which was difficult. With the resistance of the words, Luhan couldn't match the loss of output chakra. He even took out the hand blocking his right eye, took out all the blue medicines from the space backpack, and quickly drank them one by one. His left eye was always on Tsunade. The fast-spinning eternal Mangekyo has turned into a dark Yuhi-colored Uzumaki. I don't know if it's a hallucination. Luhan saw the god of death. It was a gigantic monster with a blue body, withered hair, and a fat white robe. He appeared beside Tsunade, lowered his head, and looked at Luhan with icy eyes. Time flies. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Ding! Remind Subversive 3665 that your physical energy is less than 8%, and your mental energy is less than 10%. Entering a weak state. Ding! Remind Subversive 3665 that your physical energy is less than 5%, your mental energy is less than 7%, and you are in a state of severe weakness. Ding! Remind Subversive 3665 that your physical energy is less than 3%, your mental energy is less than 5%, and you are in an endangered state of weakness. Ding! Remind Subversive 3665, your physical energy is less than 1%, and your mental energy is less than 3%. Subversive 3665, please stop. Warning, warning. Subversive 3665 will die. Warning, please stop. Subversive 3665. Warning you again, please stop. Luhan ignored the elf's prompt. He couldn't stop. Absolutely not. Because Tsunade's state is always stuck at the moment before death. If he stops, time will still pass. Tsunade's death time will continue to increase, and all previous efforts will be lost. Ding! Remind Subversive 3665 that your physical energy is 0, your mental energy is less than 1%, and you are entering the countdown to death. Death's eyes finally moved, and he finally glanced at Luhan before disappearing. At this moment, Tsunade's body appeared with the breath of life. Luhan's body was shaking violently. He felt that his subverter's body was collapsing. From the inside out, normal people would die directly if their physical energy returned to 0, but Luhan, as a subverter, would not, because the subverter's body would not. It's very special. It takes a certain amount of time to collapse. In all, Luhan only died a little later than normal people. Luhan continued to transform chakra, staring at Tsunade. The eternal Mangekyo was spinning wildly, and the tide of time and space did not stop. He doesn't know where these chakras come from. It may be that the subverter's body itself has some energy, but it is not included in the body's energy. Living, it can be said to be the life energy of the subverter's body. Chakra keeps turning into his left eye, urging pupil power. Because the time is not long enough, Luhan's pupil strength will not be exhausted, but his chakra is not enough, his physical fitness is 0, and everything will end. After Tsunade has the breath of life, it means that she has been resurrected. But that's not enough. Bound to die, and he would not stop the tides of time and space before he died, because Tsunade's resurrection was one thing, and whether the injuries in her body would continue to worsen was another matter. Stop, that Tsunade will die in less than half a minute. So you have to keep going. The broken meridians in Tsunade's body quickly recovered, and the lost vitality returned to the state before her outbreak. The seal reappeared on her body, binding her hands, feet and body. Ding! Subversive 3665 is dead. Luhan finally stopped and lay on Tsunade, his vitality cut off. ... Ding! The effect of the intermediate resurrection scroll has been triggered, and Subverter 3665 has entered the countdown for resurrection. If it is overdue, Subverter 3665 will lose the chance to revive. Drops, exchange items, return to the original state. Subversive 3665 can choose the resurrection time and place. Quote. Luhan floated upward in the state of his soul body, he could see his body in Tsunade. Ding! It is detected that the total number of ingots obtained by the Subversive 3665 in history exceeds 10,000, and he holds a resurrection scroll. If the hidden conditions are met, the Subversive can choose to sleep, so as to retain all the current abilities and items. Chapter 0838_Fall. Luhan flew farther and farther, and flew to a height of several thousand meters, overlooking the earth under the moonlit night, and everything below became tiny and blurred in his eyes. Sleep. What is that? Luhan asked in his heart. Sleep is an exclusive ability for subversives. A deep voice appeared in Luhan's ears, not an elf, but a messenger of subversion. He actually came out to explain. Among the exclusive abilities of subversives, deep sleep is one of the strongest abilities. First, to be called the end ability. To have this ability, the subversive must meet the following hidden conditions. First, to obtain more than 10,000 ingots within 10 years. Second, to have a resurrection scroll of any level. And third, the host strength must be reach or exceed tier 60. And fourth, the host is not killed. Subversive 3665, who has fulfilled the above four conditions, obtains the ability to sleep. This ability can only be activated when the subversive has died. This ability is a permanent ability, and the subversive can use it multiple times, but every time it is used, it will requires one resurrection scroll. After the subversive goes into a deep sleep, the sleeping time will be determined by the state of the subversive when he dies. If the subversive always has enough resurrection scrolls, then theoretically, the subversive will live forever, even if the subversive's natural lifespan runs out and naturally dies. Can also rely on the ability to sleep to restore life. Quote. Subversive 3665, you are the first subversive to obtain the ability to sleep. Previously, none of the 3664 subversives have obtained this ability, so I specially reward you with another unique ending ability for subversives, Resurrection. This ability allows subversives to revive other life forms. Each time a life form is resurrected, subversive's strength will be reduced by 10%. There are no other side effects and there is no limit to the number of times. The subversive messenger babbled a lot, and finally said, now, please subvert 3665 to make a choice, whether to use the intermediate resurrection scroll, lose everything and directly resurrect, or keep everything and go to sleep. How long? Luhan asked in his heart. How long will I sleep before I wake up? Or where is the place? In view of the fact that the subversive body of Subversive 3665 has collapsed, the subverter's HP value is reset to 0, the physical energy value is reset to 0, the mental value is reset to 0, and the death state is relatively serious. The result of the conversion is that Subverter 3665 will sleep for 10 years, and the sleeping place space for disruptors. Quote. This way, Luhan floated high in the sky, looking at the mountains and rivers below. He wanted to see Tsunade clearly, but it was too far away. He was already at an altitude of 10,000 meters, and he couldn't see clearly at all. Is it a direct resurrection? Still sleeping. If I revive directly, will I lose all my abilities, including the exclusive abilities of subversives? And those items, the Blade of Astonishment, and the Ring of 10,000 Techniques, will all disappear. Yes. So, is there still a first kill? Will the first kill be refreshed? No. I see. Luhan's expression darkened. If he chooses to resurrect, he will really lose everything, and without the first kill, he will not be able to grow quickly at all, even if he already has the practice of Horaitian experience, his talent as a subversive, relying on his own practice, his growth will be slower. More importantly, Luhan still has enemies. If Hanzo, Onoki, Kurigakure, Sunagakure, etc. know that he is still alive but has lost his strength, then he will never have peace, and what is even more terrifying is that there are also Uchiha Madara, white Zetsu, black Zetsu. At that time, even Tsunade will protect him. It's useless, he has too many enemies. He has strength, the enemy is afraid of him and fears him. He has no strength, he will die. It will also embarrass the people around you. Go to sleep. Lu Han sighed. Perhaps, this was already an excellent result for him. He had originally planned to find a place where no one was there to revive, hide, and see no one. When his strength grew to a certain height, reappear. And now, he has the opportunity to keep all his abilities and items. He just needs to close his eyes and open them again, and he can come to the ninja world again. 10 years, to him who is sleeping, is just a flick of a finger. The soul body Lu Han is dissipating, starting from the transparent feet. The person is at a height of 10,000 meters, and it turns into a little bit of starlight. I'll be back, Uchiha Madara, don't die. Give me a chance to kill you with my own hands. Lu Han murmured until he disappeared completely, and the night sky returned to calm. Historical records. On the night of February 15, Konoha 37, the strongest ninja during the Second Ninja World War, the king of an era, Hokage, the agent of Konoha village in the country of fire, Han Guang, who was only 19 years old, died in battle in the Kangsha Ridge, the country of Sichuan. A generation of killing gods fell. There have been many speculations and analyses of his death in later generations, and there are also rumors that Han Guang died at the hands of a mysterious powerhouse, and this mysterious powerhouse is Uchiha Madara, a peerless madman who traverses the ninja world from the end of Sengoku to the early days of the establishment of the 5 great ninja villages. But no one can prove that the person is Uchiha Madara, and even the cause of Han Guang's death is still a fog, and there is no conclusion. Konoha 37th year, February 16, afternoon. On the southwestern border of the Fire Nation, the medical saint Tsunade held a corpse and appeared in the reconnaissance base established by Konoha on the southwestern border, and then a scout ninja rushed back to Konoha village to report. On February 19, Konoha Anbu Captain Hitaki Tsukumo rushed to the border with more than 100 Anbu ninjas. He saw Tsunade with a seal on his body, his face pale and extremely weak, and his eyes were dazed like a dementia. He also saw that he had been placed in a coffin and his body had been cleaned up. However, the corpse of a man who was neat and clean but no longer had any breath of life. On February 21, under the leadership of Hitaki Tsukumo, Konoha Anbu escorted Tsunade and the coffin back to Konoha village. Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, Hyuga Huyang and other Konoha leaders led all Konoha to kneel to greet them. It was night. There are hundreds of people wearing hemp, and thousands of people are in mourning. On February 25, the news of Han Guang's death in the battle spread all over the world, and the entire ninja world was in an uproar. In the 37th year of Konoha, on February 28, the great name of the country of fire came to Konoha with his family to hold a state funeral for Han Guang. Han Guang was buried in the Tomb of Heroes in the forest at the back mountain of Konoha village. This is the end of a generation of legends. Chapter 0839 The Difficulty of Konoha. Konoha 37 years, early March. The Land of Thunder, Kumogakure Village, Raikage Office. The tall figure pushed open the office door and strode to the desk. Looking at the middle-aged figure behind the desk reading the information, he hesitated. Lao Ai gave instructions on the intelligence scroll, put the scroll aside and looked up at his son. Xiao Ai was still wrapped in bandages, her face was pale, and her injuries were not completely healed. Is something wrong? Lao Ai asked seriously. I think. Xiao Ai hesitated, plucked up his courage and said, I want to go to Konoha. You didn't let me go when the teacher was buried. I'll go to Matsuri to worship now. It should be fine. Go back and rest. Lao Ai sighed, not agreeing. Father. Xiao Ai was anxious and excited, why can't I go? You know, half a month ago. It was an accident, a conspiracy. I didn't die, didn't I? Although I killed some Konoha ninjas, you killed a few too, but I just went to Matsuri to pay my respects to the teacher, and I didn't even need to enter the Konoha village, why not? Half a month ago, Xiao Ai went mad in Konoha village, killing more than 10 ninjas in Konoha, and several of the young geniuses who were very important in Konoha were seriously injured by him. Lao Ai arrived in time, and took Xiao Ai to fight and retreat. Eventually escaped from Konoha and returned to Kumogakure. Xiao Ai was seriously injured and was in a coma for 10 days. And it was during these 10 days that Konoha village was retaliated by Lao Ai, and several reconnaissance bases established by Konoha in the northern part of the Land of Fire were all destroyed by Kumogakure Anbu. In order to avenge his son, Konoha has killed hundreds of people. It wasn't until a few days ago that Xiao Ai finally woke up out of danger, and when he woke up, the news of Han Guang's fall had spread throughout the ninja world. Originally, Kumogakure village was helpless to Xiao Ai's injury. Xiao Ai's injury by White Fang was secondary, mainly because his heart was stabbed a few times. There is no medical ninja as powerful as Tsunade, and anyone else has to die. Xiao Ai survived. It is incredible. Xiao Ai's body's self-healing ability and vitality are extremely powerful. Black Zetsu wants to kill Xiao Ai. He wants to do everything. As long as Xiao Ai dies, then Kumogakure village will definitely turn against Konoha village. It is an accident that Xiao Ai survives. After Xiao Ai woke up, Lao Ai asked him what happened. Xiao Ai didn't remember his madness in Konoha at all, but he remembered the white figure. With Lao Ai's wisdom, he could naturally figure out that he and his Konoha got it all. However, it is irreversible. Because Xiao Ai got Konoha's life on his hands, and Lao Ai's revenge also caused Konoha to kill more people. Of course, there were also Kumogakure village ninjas who were performing revenge tasks and were killed by Konoha. The two sides have completely broken up. If Hangguang is still alive, then maybe we can talk about it again. Lao Ai is willing to talk with Hangguang. He also believes that with Hangguang's wisdom and vision, Konoha and Kumogakure can put their quarrels away. However, Hangguang is dead, and he is currently in charge of Konoha. It's Kaharu Udatane. For Kaharu Udatane, Lao Ai felt that there was nothing more to say. Wait a little longer. Lao Ai looked at his son. After half a year, or a year, when the limelight is over, you can go to Matsuri to worship the cold light. Father, what are you worried about? Xiao Ai slapped Lao Ai on the table and glared at Yuhi. You should know that if the teacher hadn't trained me, that kind of injury. I'm already dead. Why don't you let me go to Matsuri to worship teacher? Why? Quote. Xiao Ai also asked about his own situation after waking up. The Kumogakure medical ninja was amazed at his self-healing ability and vitality, but Xiao Ai suddenly realized that this internal change in his body was entirely due to the teacher's training on him. Being injured time and time again, being healed time and time again, suffering that kind of pain time and time again. Lao Ai looked up at his son's eyes. It was the first time his son had offended him like this, but he didn't know how to scold him. There are some things he can't tell Xiao Ai. Example, he already knew that Konoha was in crisis, and Konoha's geographical location would make it vulnerable to many enemies, and it was really dangerous without the strongest guards. Or, Hanzo has come to Lao Ai a few days ago, and Lao Ai refused Hanzo's invitation and didn't say anything about it. Lao Ai knows that his son Xiao Ai loves Konoha because of Han Guang, so he can't say it. Lao Ai won't get down on Konoha, but Han Guang is dead, and Lao Ai's friendship with Konoha is also broken. Go back and rest. After all, Lao Ai didn't get angry with his son, but comforted her in a calm tone. I know what you're thinking, but your injury isn't healed yet. Wait for you to heal. Let's talk about it. 37 years of Konoha, March 3rd. Kurigakure sent 5,000 troops to invade the country of Vortex and approach the northern border of the country of Fire. Build a new ninja village. On March 5th, the Sunagakure village of the Land of Winds, with 6,000 troops, crossed the Land of Rain and entered the northwest area of the Land of Fire, then headed south, intending to invade the western part of the Land of Fire. On March 9th, 6,000 troops from Iwagakure village in the Land of the Earth crossed the Land of Rain, entered the northwest area of the Land of Fire, and then moved eastward, intending to invade the northern part of the Land of Fire. The four major forces have a total of 20,000 troops, intending to divide up the country of fire. The 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th main battle corps of the Fire Nation, with a total of 9,000 troops, sent troops one after another. The Ninja World War, which had just been calmed down, once again caused huge waves. 37 years of Konoha, on March 15, a month after Han Guang died in battle. That night, Tsuchikajinoki, the 3rd generation of Iwagakure village, Hanzo, the leader of a Megakure village in the Land of Rain, and Chiyo, the frontline commander of Sunagakure village, together with the 4 major forces of sand, rain, rock, and fog, a total of more than 100 strong and masters attacked Konoha village at night. The 4,000 ninjas left behind in Konoha fought back. 2 sides fought until dawn, and Onoki, Hanzo and others were left to retreat. Konoha suffered heavy casualties. Hyuga Haeyoung, the head of the Hyuga clan, and Inazuka, the commander of the Konoha garrison, all died in battle. The end of Konoha seems to have come. March 16, somewhere in the ninja world, in an underground cave. Uchiha Madara, who had been in a coma for a month with serious injuries, woke up in the dark. Chapter 0840-Return. The huge underground cave, Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, is like an eternal sculpture, shadows swaying under the reflection of trembling firelight. Under the stone wall far away from the fire, white Zetsu and black Zetsu sat opposite each other, with a square table between them with a chessboard on it. This game of chess has been played by the two for 5 days. Regarding the investigation and surveillance of the ninja world, there is White Zetsu's clone to do it. White Zetsu's main body, in the case of nothing important, doesn't need to do anything in person. Both are waiting. Wait for that person to wake up. How long? In the distance, in the direction of the shadow of Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, a hoarse voice asked. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu raised their heads at the same time, got up and walked in that direction at the same time. The two of them merged halfway, and they became absolute. Uchiha Madara walked out of the darkness with a sickle as a crutch, her pale and bloodless face full of weakness. It's been a month, and now it's March 16th. Ju said. Well, Uchiha Madara responded with a nasal voice, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, and his eyes were cold. That woman. Tsunade, is she dead? It was so unforgettable that Uchiha Madara did not expect that he would be nearly killed by Tsunade, and he also knew that even if Tsunade forcibly broke the seal and inflicted heavy damage on him, he was afraid he would be finished. She's not dead, Ju said, his face slightly strange. Oh, Uchiha Madara frowned, not dead. Han Guang saved her. It is speculated that Han Guang saved her. Why speculation? Speculation. Because Han Guang died, I can't find out what happened that night. Uchiha Madara turned around suddenly, staring at Ju, staring at him. Han Guang is dead. Without Madara saying anything, Ju said again. Are you absolutely sure? Are you sure this isn't Han Guang's plan? Madara asked, with a hint of nervousness in her tone. Totally sure, Ju said with great certainty. I have gone to see his body, and it is absolutely true that he is dead. And the state of death is very strange. Judging from the symptoms, he should have launched some kind of death before he died. Forbidden technique. Quote. Uchiha Madara maintained a surprised look, then turned back slowly, the corners of her mouth trembling, as if she was muttering something, but she didn't make a sound. Ha! Cold light, ha! Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Uchiha Madara raised her head and laughed, looking like she was about to burst into tears. Cold light is too bizarre. The outside world does not know the situation of the Kangsha Ridge battlefield that day. Even if there are many guesses, they will definitely not be able to guess the real cause of Han Guang's death, and Uchiha Madara, he can imagine that through Han Guang, he used the forbidden technique before his death, and Tsunade is not dead. 2 guesses. Han Guang, it was really possible that he died in order to save Tsunade's life. Uchiha Madara, this method of death can only be said to be an unfortunate luck. Completely by mistake. Who would have thought? Han Guang has such deep affection for Tsunade. Uchiha Madara was almost neurotic. He walked to the square table in front of the stone wall with a mad laugh. Looking at the endgame of the chessboard above, he sat down with his knees crossed and motioned to sit opposite him, and then he completely calmed down. Tell me about the situation outside, and some recent events. Madara said, picking up Hitzi at the same time, pinching it with her fingers, but did not drop it immediately. Since Han Guang died, Hanzo Ju began to talk about some important recent events. Although it has only been a month, many major events that have caused a stir in the ninja world have really happened. Uchiha Madara was in a good mood because the serious troubles of his confidants had been eliminated. At this moment, listening to him, his face became gloomy again. The ninja world is out of control. Uchiha Madara knew that when Hangguang died, the ninja world might fight again, but even without Hangguang, Konoha was still very strong and would not be defeated because of this, but I didn't expect Konoha would really lose. The problem was with Hanzo. More than a month ago, Black Zetsu came forward to hire Hanzo and Onoki to attack Tsunade. After the success, Hanzo and Onoki dispersed, and it was at that time that Hanzo and Onoki secretly reached an agreement to attack Konoha, because Hanzo had already made a deal. It is speculated that the black market may be using Tsunade to contain Luhan. The result was even more extreme. Han Guang died directly. After that, Hanzo contacted Chio from Sunagakure village, I from Kumogakure village, and the current principal of Kurigakure. He single-handedly made a plan to attack Konoha and carve up the territory of the Land of Fire. He wanted the 5 forces to send troops to the Land of Fire at the same time. Destroy Konoha. Lao Ai refused Hanzo's invitation, but did not inform Konoha. After all, Kumogakure and Konoha had completely broken up. Lao Ai, looking at the face of the late Han Guang, did not fall for Konoha. The end, a situation in which the 4 forces attacked Konoha was formed. At present, the Sand, Rain, Rock, and Fog Corps have all occupied part of the Land of Fire, and just last night, Konoha village was raided, causing heavy casualties. These include Hyuga Heian and Inazuka Tears. Konoha is in danger. In the battle last night, Tsunade never showed up. Without Tsunade's cooperation, Jiraiya and Orochimaru were both seriously injured. If Hatake Tsukumo hadn't rescued them in time, they would have died. It is said that the reason why Tsunade didn't participate in the battle was because since Han Guang's death, she has suffered from hyperphobia, afraid of seeing blood. Black Zetsu finally said, his face became more and more strange. I didn't expect that Han Guang's death would lead to such an extreme situation. He offended him before his death. There are too many people, and the killing is too ruthless. Uchiha Madara's face was ugly. Konoha had been destroyed, and the country of fire would be divided up, which he didn't want to see. What he has always done is to balance the parties, and it is okay to fight, but whoever destroys who, the country of rain does not matter. The 5 major countries must maintain their existence, so that conflicts of interest will always exist, and the country of fire is located in the center of the ninja world, has the most extensive forests and the most abundant resources. Once it is divided up by various countries, all parties will have enough to eat, no shortage of money, no shortage of food, and sufficient benefits. Harmony and beauty will be tolerated in the future. World War. Stop them. Uchiha Madara said sternly, can't let them ruin Konoha. On March 20th, Konoha 37, the 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had been missing for nearly 2 years, returned to Konoha. Chapter 0841 _ His Children. Konoha Village, a quiet courtyard. The breeze is blowing, the small trees are rustling, and in front of the wooden house, the colorful flowers are blooming in the 2 flower beds, and the butterflies of the colorful Madara are flying. The children who are only 2 or 3 years old are walking around the flower bed, trying to catch the butterflies. Smiling happily. The middle-aged woman with a few strands of white silk on her temples sat on the rocking chair in front of the door, looked at the child, and smiled peacefully. 5 days ago, Konoha suffered the most serious attack in history. At this time, Konoha was full of chills. The woman didn't care about this. Although she was in the city, she seemed to be isolated from the world. It has been a long time since she went out to see it. This child, her youngest son, seemed to be her whole life. Oops. The child accidentally fell into the flower bed, but didn't cry. With a very skinny appearance, he struggled to get up again. Looking at his dirty little hands, his little face was wrinkled together. Be careful. The woman covered her mouth and laughed, got up and walked into the room. Asuma is to blame, she has to wash it up. The woman entered the house to fetch water, and was about to go out with the wash basin in hand. Wow! She suddenly heard her son's cry, and seemed to be frightened. The woman frowned, but she was not worried. This small courtyard was protected by Anbu ninjas, so it wouldn't be an accident. The woman hurried out with the water basin in hand, but she was stunned as soon as she got outside the door. The 6 Anbu ninjas who were responsible for the safety of Sarutobi Lake Biwa and Sarutobi Asuma have all appeared. They all seem to have been immobilized. They stare blankly. Standing in the courtyard, the little guy Sarutobi Asuma is crying because he doesn't know the person in front of him. Unshaven man. A middle-aged man who suddenly appeared was squatting in front of Sarutobi Asuma, pulling his dirty little hands, and was wiping him clean. Bang bang. The water basin fell to the ground, and half of the basin was soaked in water on the slate floor. Sarutobi Bawako looked at the man who had been missing for nearly 2 years and burst into tears. Ha, he doesn't even know me anymore. Hiruzen. Quote. Sarutobi Lake Biwa cried and fell into Sarutobi Hiruzen's arms. After a while, Kaharu Udatane and Hitaki Sakumo who got the news came to the small courtyard quickly. Only the 2 of them got the news, because Anbu would only report to these 2 people. Time flies. Into the night. The wooden house in the small courtyard is still brightly lit. Sarutobi Hiruzen's conversation with Kaharu Udatane and White Fang has not ended. He was trapped for 2 years. Sarutobi Hiruzen knows that the sun is coming, and he doesn't know who his enemy is, because he has only seen that white guy, White Zetsu. Kaharu Udatane reported to Sarutobi Hiruzen about the situation in the past 2 years. Almost every 10 sentences, 8 of them mention Hangwang, because Konoha can persist to this day and calm down the troubled world, all because of him. It was also because of his sudden fall that the situation completely collapsed, and Konoha was about to enter the abyss of doom. Master Hangwang single-handedly facilitated the alliance with Kumogakure, and cooperated with Raikage, the 3rd generation of Eyes, to attack the village of Iwagakure. Since Lord Hangwang severely damaged the Sunagakure puppet division and Omegakure village. If Lord Hangwang didn't die suddenly, then Kaharu Udatane was in awe of Lu Han, and when he mentioned holding a state funeral for Hangwang, he burst into tears, all of which were seen by Sarutobi Hiruzen. In 2 years, White Zetsu and Sarutobi Hiruzen met hundreds of times, and each time they would imply Sarutobi Hiruzen, intentionally or unintentionally, let Sarutobi Hiruzen think that the Senju Senluo incident, he was trapped, etc., Hangwang is the mastermind behind the scenes. But obviously, this can't deceive Sarutobi Hiruzen, and it is not a perfect frame-up plan, it can be said to be full of loopholes. At this time, through Kaharu Udatane, Sarutobi Hiruzen finally confirmed his suspicions. It was the white guy who imprisoned him. Before Hangwang died, he was also led away from Konoha by the white guy, attacked Tsunade, and held Tsunade hostage. White guy. It makes no sense to say that Hangwang and that white guy are in the same group. Hiruzen, these 2 years, you? Kaharu Udatane finally asked. She and Sarutobi Hiruzen were close friends. Although they hadn't seen each other for 2 years, they didn't get along. I was tricked. Senluo sealed me with a secret technique before he died, and then that white guy imprisoned me, the person you just mentioned. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes were confused when he said this. He doesn't understand. Because he didn't know how he was released. A day ago, when he woke up again, he was already in the wild, the seal on his body was lifted, all injuries were healed, his white hair was still black, and his state returned to its peak. There was still a cloud of fog in front of him. Both Kaharu Udatane and Hitaki Sakumo were shocked. White guy. It's him again. Who is he? The terrifying feeling flooded into everyone's heart. All of them were extremely talented, and they could all feel that there seemed to be a pair of invisible big hands in the dark, manipulating everything. Tsunade seems to know something. Kaharu Udatane suddenly said, since the death of Lord Hengwang, her state has been very bad. I asked her a few times, and she said something, but every time to the end, she kept talking stop, it seems. There is something extremely terrifying that she dare not mention. ... The mansion in the forest, above the ruins, there is only one main building that has been repaired. In the battle 5 days ago, Hanzo and Onoki had both killed here, and destroyed 88, but no one was hurt, because at that time, Tsunade and Uzumaki Kushina were both transferred to Anbu, and Hyuga Luo Ning was with the Hyuga clan. Action. In the main building, only the first floor has light. The lobby was very quiet, only the sound of the bowls and chopsticks touching, and the food on the table was quite abundant. Uzumaki Kushina ate her food in small bites. She used to be very lively, but now she seems to be much quieter, or rather depressed. Hyuga Luo Ning was dressed in mourning clothes and looked like she had lost her appetite, and the swollen yuhi on her eyes had not gone away. She lost her husband more than a month ago. She lost her father 5 days ago. Every midnight dream, she would burst into tears on the pillow towel. Gret. Tsunade suddenly dropped the tableware and retched, turning his head to cover his mouth. Hyuga Luo Ning hurriedly patted her on the back. It's his child, how many months? A hoarse voice suddenly sounded. Tsunade looked back suddenly. Sarutobi Hiruzen appeared at the door at some point. Chapter 0842_memorabilia. Sarutobi Hiruzen could feel that there was another life in Tsunade. There was a very brief silence in the lobby. Everyone stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Tsunade's expression was even dull. A person who had been missing for 2 years suddenly appeared. If it wasn't for the fact that Tsunade, Hyuga Luo Ning, and Uzumaki Kushina had experienced too many blows recently, I'm afraid it would be true. Jump up in fright. 2 months, Tsunade said, looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen with complicated eyes. Sarutobi Hiruzen's sudden visit has no other meaning. It is not a big deal for him to leave a posthumous child. He came, just wanted to know, what happened on the day that Hongguang died in battle. The unknown is what makes people the most fearful. Sarutobi Hiruzen doesn't even know who the real enemy is, he wants to know. Tsunade did not disappoint him and gave Sarutobi Hiruzen a name, Uchiha Madara. This is the first time Tsunade has mentioned this name since he returned to Konoha for more than a month. It is not that she is afraid to say it, but that she was in such a bad state when she first returned to Konoha that she did not want to mention what happened that night. She was afraid, that painful memories. And when she wanted to say it, no one asked her again. She didn't think about taking the initiative to tell anyone, because she knew that no one would believe that Uchiha Madara was still alive. And Tsunade has already planned to leave Konoha. If Konoha is defeated, she will inevitably fly away with the child in her belly. In the 37th year of Konoha, on March 21st, Kaharu Udatane held the Jonin Conference, and Sarutobi Hiruzen appeared at the conference, causing a sensation in Konoha. Without any resistance, he has returned to the helm of Konoha since the moment he appeared among Sarutobi Hiruzen. At the end of March, the news of Sarutobi Hiruzen's return has spread throughout the ninja world. In the northwest of the Land of Fire, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Uchiha Corps slaughtered and scattered the Omegakure Corps and severely damaged Hanzo. In early April, Tsunade made a secret mission to Kumogakure village, the Land of Thunder. In mid-April, Konoha and Kumogakure allied again and announced to the world that Kumogakure sent troops to Iwagakure, forcing all Iwagakure legions to return to the country of aid. At the end of May, Sarutobi Hiruzen brought Hitaki Sakumo, Hitaki Teishuo, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and severely damaged the Kurigakure Corps occupying the southern part of the country of fire. Because the Kurigakure Corps was less powerful and lacked peak combat power, 5,000 ninjas were killed by Sarutobi Hiruzen and other strong men. At the beginning of June, Konoha mobilized 6,000 ninjas to defeat the Sunagakure Corps, and pursued them all the way to enter the Land of Winds and approach Sunagakure village. In the 37th year of Konoha, in July, Sunagakure village begged for peace, then admitted defeat, and the Second Ninja World War officially ended. Only 4 months after Sarutobi Hiruzen returned to Konoha, he pacified the war in the ninja world. In fact, this is not how wise he is. Every time Konoha reverses the situation, Konoha ninja will think of that person. It was he who laid a solid foundation for Konoha to pacify the war. If he didn't die suddenly, the Ninja World War has ended, and there should be no more waves. Sarutobi Hiruzen returns to Konoha. His role is to act as a backbone, as a wise decision-maker. Tsunade also contributed a lot, if not for her mission to Kumogakure village as Hengwang's widow, persuaded Lao Ai to let Konoha and Kumogakure letting go of the previous suspicion. The Ninja World War could not end so smoothly. At the end of the 37th year of Konoha, a statue of Hengwang was erected on the square of the ninja school in Konoha village. The statue was 36 meters high and 12 stories high. There is a stone tablet under the statue, which records the life and deeds of Hengwang with the inscription. This matter was proposed by Kaharu Udatane, and Sarutobi Hiruzen approved it, because Hengwang has not become an official Hokage until his death, so it is impossible to carve a statue on the Hokage rock. Konoha can only use this method as to commemorate the cold light. For Sarutobi Hiruzen, no matter how much grudge he has with Hengwang, he can't take a big deal to erase Hengwang's achievements, what people want, and since Hengwang is dead, the past grudges will naturally disappear. Sarutobi Hiruzen will not humiliate one after Konoha's death. The old hero, Konoha after the war is in ruins, the pain has not yet been healed, Konoha needs heroes to inspire the next generation. Sarutobi Hiruzen is going to make Hengwang the greatest hero since the founding of Konoha. Since then, Konoha has started the God-building movement, with Hengwang as the protagonist. Gradually became a legend in Konoha. In the 38th year of Konoha, on the 6th day of the first month, Tsunade gave birth to a son named Lee, in Konoha. Hokage I, the third generation of Kumogakure village, and his son Xiao rushed to Konoha to worship Matsuri Hengwang's tomb. The idea of accepting Ali as his adopted son was rejected by Tsunade. In the 38th year of Konoha, at the beginning of March, Tsunade left Konoha with his infant son, Hyuga, and disappeared without a trace. April, Konoha five-tailed man Jinchuriki, column force Uzumaki Kushina left Konoha, said to be looking for Tsunade. At the end of the 38th year of Konoha, Sarutobi Hiruzen removed Uchiha Leyoung's advisory position, and after half a month, the Uchiha clan was in civil strife, and Uchiha Leyoung died in the war on the night of the civil strife. The Uchiha ninja loyal to Konoha stopped him. After Leyoung died, with the support of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 23-year-old Uchiha Madara Fugaku, the son of Uchiha Yokoyama, the former chief of the Uchiha clan, ascended to the top to take charge of the Uchiha clan. At the beginning of the 39th year of Konoha, Uchiha Fugaku, the new head of the Uchiha tribe, married Uchiha Shangyan. 40 years of Konoha. In March, Konoha Anbu captain Hatake Sakumo committed suicide due to the failure of his mission to rescue his companions and was blamed. Sarutobi Hiruzen revoked the S Department establishment, and Hatake Teishuo was officially transferred to Konoha Anbu as the captain. In the 42nd year of Konoha, Kyubi Nine-Tails, who died at the same time due to the death of cold light, was resurrected in the Land of Fire. Konoha was the first to get the information. Sarutobi Hiruzen personally shot, and Konoha Anbu successfully captured Kyubi Nine-Tails and brought him back. Sealed in the body of 13-year-old Uzumaki Arena. At this point, Uzumaki Arena became the fourth-generation Kyubi Nine-Tails Jinchuriki column force after Uzumaki Mito, Uzumaki Kushina and Hengwang. 45 years in Konoha. Since the end of the Second Ninja World War, the 5 countries that have been recuperating for 8 years have once again clashed over interests. The Third Ninja War broke out. Chapter 0843 Konoha 47 years. In the silver-gray world, the messenger of subversion is suspended in the center of the light ball. In front of the light ball, there is another slightly smaller light ball. Luhan is wrapped in the middle of the white light ball. Only his feet, hands and head are exposed. Outside, the rest of the location is shrouded in white light. Ding! 10 years have passed, and the subversive 3665 is about to end its slumber. Consciousness is awakening. Consciousness is being repaired. Memory is being repaired. The total strength of the subversive 3665 is being calculated. Transformation. The subversive is about to wake up. The cold voice loomed in the space. The cold light shrouded in the white light moved his fingers slightly. The white light on his body quickly converged, and the person slowly fell to the ground. When his feet touched the ground, the white light on his body disappeared completely. Luhan's eyelashes trembled, and he slowly opened his eyes. In a dream for 10 years, Luhan has not changed in any way. For him, 10 years is but a moment. Because his consciousness and memory have been repaired, he has not experienced blurred memory and loss of consciousness. His memory is still disappearing. In the night sky. Waking up in the subversive space seemed to him like only a second had passed. 10 years. Luhan asked, thinking about Tsunade involuntarily in his mind. When Tsunade woke up, he saw her husband's body. It was painful, right? 10 years, subversive 3665, you have finished sleeping, retaining all abilities and items. Are you going to the Hokage world now? The subversive messenger said without emotion. 10 years. 47 years of Konoha, the third ninja war has already begun. Namikaze Minato is about to become Hokage. I don't know if he and Kushina have. Luhan did not respond to the subversion messenger. Instead, he muttered to himself and looked down at himself. No clothes. Luhan's habitual hand seal smoothly displayed the secret technique of changing clothes, and a neat black suit appeared on his body. The kunai shuriken and other equipment were also fully equipped, but there was no sort of shock. Who's holding this knife now? Luhan asked himself in a low voice. When he died 10 years ago, he left in the state of his soul body. Right next to his corpse. The Sword of Astonishment is a real artifact. Too many things will happen in 10 years, so it's impossible to know for sure if this knife is still in Konoha's hands. Luhan opened the space backpack and checked it out. It was very good. There were a lot of dropped weapons, looted money, all kinds of medicines except blue medicine. Everything was there. If I go back to the Hokage world now, in what way will I appear? Where? Luhan raised his head and asked. Remind the subversive 3665 that you can return to the Hokage world in 2 ways. The subversive messenger continued. The first one, which will appear anywhere in the ninja world, the physical body of the subversive 3665 in the Hokage world will be reshaped. However, there are drawbacks in doing so. Physical remodeling requires energy, so the power of the disruptor will be degraded. Quote. The second way, the subverter returns directly to the body, but there is also a problem, because the subverter 3665 has been in the dead body of the ninja world for 10 years, and has become a bone, and there is a possibility of loss. If the subverter's body is missing, incomplete bones also require energy to repair, and the energy required here is even greater than the remodeling of the physical body. Quote. The second kind. Luhan made a decision without thinking more. He didn't want to reshape the body, because then logically, he was another person. Even if he looked exactly the same, he was another person. He didn't want to become another person, because he had left a bloodline in the ninja world, and Tsunade was pregnant with his child. If everything went well, that child should be over 9 years old at this time. Therefore, even if his original body has been dismembered by 5 horses, he has to return to that body. After all, it is a resurrection. Even if the body is turned into ashes and some bones are left, there should be a way to restore it. The big deal is to lose some. Just strength. 47th year of Konoha, February 15th, the night of the full moon. At the end of the Third Ninja World War, The war between the various forces in the ninja world has been heating up, and the Konoha village at the center of the storm has been under military control for 2 years. In Konoha at night, the lights are sparse and it is silent. Curfew. After nightfall, no one is allowed to move around in Konoha village. In the forest behind the mountain, there is some noise. Tomb of Heroes. Located in the hidden part of the forest in the back mountain of Konoha village, is not a tomb, but a group of tombs. The people who can be buried here are all powerful ninjas who have made great contributions to Konoha. Since the establishment of Konoha, for more than 10 years, there are only a few people who can be buried here. The first Hokage and the second Hokage are not buried here, not that they are not heroes, but because they are Hokage, where the cemetery is located. The location is more private and special. The hustle and bustle in front of the hero's tomb started during the day and gradually cooled down into the night. Today is a very special day for many people in Konoha. There are many people, 300 people have come to worship Matsuri, and many of them are high-ranking Konoha. There are also young people and children who come to Matsuri to worship because of their admiration. 10 years ago, a generation of legendary ninja Konoha Hangwang died in Kangshaling, the country of Sichuan. Today is the 10th anniversary of Hangwang's death. 10 years later, Hangwang has not only not faded in the memories of the people of Konoha, but it has become clearer and more real. This is a legendary existence written in textbooks. Even in the mundane world, there are people who sing about his deeds. Hangwang was close to a god before his death, and after his death, he was frequently compared to Senju Hashirama. He became a god after his death, and he was the one who was talking about him. Because Hangwang's deeds have been repeated repeatedly, everyone in Konoha is very clear about Hangwang's death day. Every death day, worshipping Matsuri Hangwang has almost become an activity of Konoha. After a busy day due to the war, Kaharu Udatane finally found time to come to the Tomb of Heroes by the moonlight. In front of Hangwang's tombstone, all kinds of food have been placed, and candles full of tears are still burning. Chapter 0844-Resurrection. Because Konoha has a curfew, the people who come to Matsuri to worship Hangwang today are basically chosen during the day, even for some big people who can move freely at night. Kaharu Udatane is only at night because he can't make time during the day. Come and see. At this time, there was no one else in front of Hangwang's tomb. Anbu Ninja, who was in charge of guarding the hero's tomb, also didn't show up. They naturally knew Kaharu Udatane, so they didn't have to do anything, just watch in secret. Kaharu Udatane took out a candle from his arms, lit it, and placed it in front of the Hangwang tombstone. She didn't bring Matsuri to offer offerings, the offerings were already enough, and she didn't miss her share. Matsuri worshipping someone is nothing more than a thought, memory. Whether there is an offering or not is secondary, that thing, other than putting it, doesn't help that it rots here. Kaharu Udatane, who had gray hair, stood in front of the tomb without saying a word. After a while, he asked aloud, Anbu, who is here? Call. 2 ninjas wearing Anbu-style ninja uniforms with masks on their faces appeared out of thin air, knelt on one knee and said in unison, I have seen Mr. Kaharu. Is she here? Kaharu Udatane asked majestically. What the Lord said is. Anbu ninja with a stronger body raised his head and asked. Tsunade. Kaharu Udatane said. Come here at noon. The sturdy Anbu ninja said. Is she alone? The two of them brought the young master away. After Matsuri paid his respects, they left directly from the back mountain. I see, alas. Kaharu Udatane sighed. Another reason she came here was to know if Tsunade had been there before. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen mentioned to her a few days ago, I hope Tsunade can bring the child back to Konoha. First, I hope that the child can enroll at the Konoha Ninja School and be branded as Konoha. It is said that the child is talented and enchanting. But it is only said that no one has ever seen the child fight with people. The second is that Konoha's funds are currently tight, and Sarutobi Hiruzen wants to borrow money from Tsunade. The largest ninja village in the ninja world has to borrow money from someone. It's so incredible. Tsunade is very rich. It is said that most of the money that Hongguang looted when he was alive was given to Tsunade. It is a treasure. Because of this legend, Tsunade is known as the second richest man in the Land of Fire, second only to the famous name in the Land of Fire. This legend also caused her a lot of trouble. Too many people wanted to kill her and rob her of her money. This made her whereabouts very secret for many years, and it was very difficult for Konoha to find her. For so many years, since Tsunade left Konoha, he has never stepped into the village of Konoha again, but the annual Matsuri prayer has never fallen. Has been a few years since the Third Ninja War broke out, but Tsunade has not returned to Konoha to take responsibility, even with Jiraiya and Orochimaru, and Kaharu Udatane knows why. Before Tsunade left Konoha with his infant son in his arms, there was a big quarrel with Sarutobi Hiruzen once, and Kaharu Udatane heard about the truth about the decline of the Senju clan. Tsunade still refuses to forgive Sarutobi Hiruzen. Thinking of this, Kaharu Udatane sighed involuntarily, walked a dozen meters to the side, and looked at the headstone of another tomb. Tomb of White Fang. There is no monument erector, no real name, and weeds grow on the tomb. It can be said to be the most primitive tomb in the group of heroes. White Fang is a hero. His death can be said to be Konoha's biggest loss since Hongguang's death. But the way he died was so bizarre that some people felt aggrieved, and some people looked down on him. He committed suicide. Suicides are usually considered cowards. Back then, White Fang's suicide shocked the whole ninja world, and then he was attacked even more fiercely. Originally, he was not allowed to enter the Tomb of Heroes, but Kaharu Udatane, who knew the inside story, strongly argued that even Sarutobi Hiruzen did it. Concession. Looking at White Fang's tombstone, Kaharu Udatane's expression was very complicated. White Fang shouldn't have died, but some people were more and more dissatisfied with him, hoping that he would die, and he died. A sin. Kaharu Udatane sighed and turned away. Kaharu Udatane gradually disappeared into the darkness of the forest, and the two Anbu ninjas heard her sigh, looked at each other, both saw the bitterness in the other's eyes, and then they all disappeared. The real thoughts of history have been buried under the dust. The past is finally over. They have been in Anbu for nearly 20 years, and they know a lot. But so what? What can't be changed, after all, can't be. The wind blew the dead leaves, and the candlelight in front of the tombstone trembled gently. ... In the darkness where you can't see your fingers, the rotten aura lingers all year round, and it is silent and silent, for I don't know how many years. Sudden. A ray of light lit up in the darkness, and since the light appeared, the originally dark and narrow world was shrouded in a hazy halo. The white jade-like skeleton lay flat in the golden-silver treasure, with a ring on the phalanx and wrapped around the body. Wearing the tattered clothes that have been oxidized, the light appears in the skull of the skeleton. It is a ray of ghost fire. On the hideous skull, UV light lit up in the two eye holes, as if a person had opened his eyes. Skull raised his hand and pressed up. Coffin. As soon as Luhan woke up, he knew the environment he was in, and he was relieved. It seemed that he was buried. That is to say, there was no accident in Tsunade 10 years ago. If there is an accident after his death, he should be a corpse in the wilderness, and there is not even a corpse collector. The brain, growing from the skull. The heart, emerges in the chest cavity. Fresh Yuhi's muscles are surging. Meridians, muscles, blood vessels. Everything is growing rapidly. For subversives, if they become skeletons, they will die, but now Luhan is resurrecting. Of course, there is no need to follow this logic. In just 5 minutes, Luhan returned to his normal appearance as a 19-year-old man, with flesh, blood, face, and skin. Then, a black ninja suit appeared out of thin air, and the weapons were also equipped with the clothes. Luhan raised his left hand and looked at it, the ring. Just put it on Luhan's hand. The magic ring. Luhan's sword of astonishment was not buried with him. He knew it was an artifact, and he didn't know who took it away, but the ring of 10,000 techniques is still there. No one knows it. Chapter 0845 Things are different. Lu Han, who had recovered, lay in the coffin and did not break out of the coffin immediately. He was thinking, after all, 10 years have passed. 10 years ago, he left too many traces in the world of shinobi, resulting in a shock that engulfed shinobi. The butterfly effect of the world, although because of historical inertia, even if many things are affected by him, what should happen will still happen, but after all, there will be different. Lu Han knew nothing about the current ninja world. A friend of 10 years ago may now be an enemy. Is Uchiha Madara still alive? Has he passed his will to Uchiha Obito and then died from Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path? Still none. Is Tsunade still in Konoha? When exactly did Orochimaru betray Konoha? And Akatsuki? Lu Han thought about it a lot. If all the conditions were right, the first thing he would do after his resurrection would be to find Tsunade and the child, and then to take charge of Konoha again, to settle the Third Ninja War, and to ensure peace in the ninja world. Then he hibernated in Konoha. Devote himself to cultivation, and when his strength reaches a new height, he will complete the goal of subverting the world by ruling the ninja world. However, even if I think about it with my feet, it can't be so smooth. More importantly, the upper limit of the strength of the Third Ninja War is higher than that of the Second Ninja War. Madara passed on his abilities to the young Obito. Nagato rises, and the name of Namikaze Minato is frightening. Lao I can spend 10,000. Lu Han can be said to be the king of an era during World War II, but in the Third World War, it is a little worse. It's a pity, I didn't find Konan Nagato and the others 10 years ago. Offending so many people, so many enemies. Lu Han thought, and after sighing, he calmed down and opened the Insight map. The Insight map covers a radius of 10 kilometers, and the coffin cannot be buried too deep, so normally, Lu Han used the Insight map at this time, and the detected ninjas should all be on the surface. There are a total of 12 orange names, and the number is very small. 2 of them were very close to where Lu Han was, less than 100 meters away. Because of their orange names, Lu Han couldn't see their names and strengths. Lu Han thought for a while, took out the black metal mask, put it on his face, and disappeared into the coffin. In the forest under the moon, candles flickered everywhere in the tombs. It is not yet spring, although the forest trees are evergreen. The night wind is very cold, adding a bit of bleak feeling to the tomb of the hero where mourning is placed. The largest tomb in the Tomb of Heroes is naturally the Tomb of Hangwang. The tombstone is higher than the others. Some words are engraved on the tombstone: Tomb of Konoha Hangwang, wife Tsunade, wife Hyuga Luo Ningli. A black-clothed figure wearing a mask appeared out of thin air in front of the tombstone, silently. Lu Han knew where he was as soon as he appeared, the Tomb of the Heroes in the back mountain of Konoha village. This group of tombs has generally not changed much, except that there are 4 new tombs, including the Tomb of Hangwang. Looking at the cemetery where he was buried, Lu Han felt a strange feeling in his heart. There were offerings in front of the tombstone, some fruits, cakes, and 5 or 6 unburned candles. Today is my death day. Lu Han reacted, and his face immediately became very strange. Talking about his death day is like cursing himself to death. In the back right of the Hangwang tomb, 5 or 6 meters away, there is a large tomb, which is also a new tomb built in the past 10 years, the tomb of Inuzuka Tears. The date of burial is written on the tombstone, in March of the 37th year of Konoha. It seems that after my death, Konoha went into trouble, even Lord Lei. Lu Han looked at the other new tombs again, and he saw Hyuga Haeyong's tomb, which was buried on the same day as Inuzuka Lei, which was a bit strange. Because the Hyuga family is a big family and has a family cemetery. As Hyuga Haeyong, if they die in battle, they should also enter their ancestral graves. Of course, it doesn't mean that you can't be buried here. It is also an honor to be able to enter the hero's tomb after death. Lu Han looked at another new tomb more than 10 meters away on the left, and his expression froze. Tomb of White Fang. Because the burial date was not written, Lu Han didn't know when White Fang died, but his intuition told Lu Han that White Fang was likely to follow the old path in the original book, and the possibility of dying in battle was very low. Of course, he could not be sure. But Lu Han's heart was suddenly congested and panicked. Is historical inertia really that big? Is this the fate of White Fang? Or all tombs of old friends, and the feeling of being different from others is on Lu Han's heart. 10 years. Everything has changed. Ding. Subversive 3665 is in a state of extreme hunger. The voice of the elf appeared in Lu Han's ears. He had just been resurrected, his body had grown again, and his stomach was empty. As a subversive, Lu Han's hunger will not decline, he will not starve to death, but he will only lose blood. Forced to lose a little blood, then increase a little, then drop, and then increase, and so on. Let's eat first. Lu Han muttered and squatted down, picked up the peaches in the offering fruit bowl, and took a big bite. Full of sweet juice, delicious. Maybe it was because he was too hungry. Lu Han had never thought that peaches were so delicious. Offering this kind of thing, unless it encounters the hungry, even a child from a poor family will not steal it. It is something for the dead. It is too unlucky to eat, but Lu Han doesn't care, because he is the one who accepts the offering. Dead man. The tree in the distance, the two Anbu ninjas looked at Lu Han with bewildered expressions. When Lu Han appeared, the two people who were hiding in the dark saw it. They didn't know who this person was. Because Lu Han was wearing a mask, they naturally couldn't see it. Even if they were familiar with Lu Han, it was over now. 10 years. But the two did not take the initiative to jump out and do something just because a stranger came. Today is the death day of Lord Hangguang. Come to Matsuri to worship Hangguang, and not only Konoha ninjas. After all, in the Ninja World War, there are not many acquaintances who can take the time to come to Matsuri to worship Hangguang, and more are strangers who come here. Therefore, on this day, no matter who comes to the Tomb of Heroes by any means, even if it is an enemy, as long as he does not destroy it, he came to Matsuri to worship the cold light, and the Anbu ninja will not stop it. But what is this guy doing? He actually stole the offerings. Call. Two figures appeared out of thin air behind Lu Han at the same time, and the sword light suddenly appeared. Chapter 0846 _ so sad. If it is a Konoha person, Anbu ninja knows, naturally they will not cut a knife, but they do not know this person. The mysterious person is definitely not a Konoha ninja, they will naturally not be polite. Do you dare to steal the offerings from the tomb of Lord Hangguang? Two Anbu ninjas attacked at the same time, and the two daggers attacked in two ways. The speed was outrageous. These two people are very strong. They are definitely the best in Anbu. They are both elite Jonin. There are usually 6 Anbu ninjas guarding the Tomb of Heroes. When someone in the Tomb of Heroes dies, there are 12 people, usually a configuration of 2 elite Jonins and 10 Jonins, and every time the guards near the Tomb of Hangguang are all the strongest among the ninjas stationed in Anbu. The two sword lights flashed extremely fast, but only brought a very weak wind sound. The two of them were really angry, and they didn't even remind them at all. They attacked with the most secret assassination technique. No matter who you are, cut them first. Cut the air. The two thought that this joint attack would directly kill the target, but the man disappeared with his back facing away. Two Anbu ninjas were shocked and discolored. They avoided the attack in such a ghostly way. This person must have the name of a strong person, and he is definitely not an unknown person. Lu Han quietly sat under the big tree 20 meters behind the two of them, watching the backs of the two with great interest, holding half a peach in his hand, and took another bite. Crunch. Two Anbu ninjas turned around at the same time, posing in an alert posture one after the other. It seemed that the two of them had special training and were good at joint strikes. The double kill formation was extremely natural. At this time, the two people who originally had orange names on the insight map changed their names to Yuhi, because they didn't know who the peach-eating powerhouse in front of them was, and they already had the intention to kill. Konoha Assassination Tactics Special Forces 6th Squad Leader, Level 40 Gold Boss, Kato Rifle. Konoha Assassination Tactics Special Forces 6th Squad Ninja. Level 40 White Silver Boss, Kobo. It's the Kobo brothers. I still remember that when Luhan first joined Anbu, they were still young people in their 20s, but now, they are all middle-aged, and their strength is much stronger, especially the elder brother Kobo, who is the team captain, is far from the super elite. Not too far. Can eyes kill? If you don't consider the pupil technique, pure eyes are impossible. But the eyes can be intimidating. Luhan nibbled at the peaches, his eyes always staring at Kato Kai and Kato Feng. The two dared not move. Luhan's eyes were like a bottomless dark abyss, which gave them extremely terrifying pressure. Not looking at Luhan's the eyes are fine, but as long as I look at it, my heart will be cold. The strength of the Kato brothers is not as strong as that of the strong in the general sense. At this time, when they looked at Luhan, they felt that they had just underestimated the strength of this person, and they felt that they might be killed at any time. It makes you want to vomit blood. Luhan finally finished eating the peach and spit the peach core on the ground, then said, "Yes, there is progress." Kato and Kato Feng glanced at each other. They both felt the voice was a little familiar, but they couldn't remember who the voice belonged to. "Who are you?" Kato asked with squinted eyes. The knuckles of the hand holding the tachi were white, and the horizontal knife was in front of him, looking extremely vigilant. "I didn't hear my voice." "That's right. After 10 years, many memories will fade." Luhan looked at the two brothers who were very close to him when he was in Anbu, and said with emotion, "We knew each other very well, no remember." "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Kato asked again, while giving his brother a subtle wink. In the face of such an invincible enemy, it is usually the elder brother Kato who resists the enemy first, while the younger brother Kato asks for help at the fastest speed. Kato is reminding Kato to get ready, and there is still a few kilometers nearby. There are 10 Anbujanin stationed in various places. If they are called, they should be able to defeat this person. Even if they can't win for a while, they can hold it back and wait for other support. I'll give you a hint. Back then, I used to be a Konoha Anbu ninja. When I first joined Anbu, you were already Anbujanin. Luhan continued, as if he didn't see Kato's small movements. Kato's eyes were a little confused. The voice was familiar, and the figure was somewhat familiar. It should be an acquaintance, but he just couldn't remember. Who was this person? Once a Konoha Anbu ninja. Konoha missing nin. When I joined Konoha Anbu, it was Genin. Luhan said slowly. He wanted to give the Kato brothers time to digest the information. That was 17 years ago, 30 years of Konoha, when you were all young people. I was 12 years old then. I still remember the first few months when I joined Anbu, and I was hailed as a genius because of my incredible strength. We were on a mission to clear missing nin Uchiha Go-Mu together. That year, I was 12 years old. Luhan is not pretending to be mysterious, but the resurrection of the dead will scare people to death. Luhan is not dead without seeing the corpse. He is really dead, and the corpse is turned into a bone, so once he directly confesses his identity and lifts the mask, the Kato brothers will definitely think that someone is posing as Lord Hangguang. There are many kinds of camouflage deformation ninjutsu, some are very low level, some are very clever. Once Luhan is considered to be a fake cold light, he has to fight. However, more Anbu ninjas will come. The more people there are, the harder it is for Luhan to explain, and Luhan is not ready to express his resurrection in public. So, little by little, give them hints and let them think for themselves, so that it can be better accepted. Kato and Kato Feng's faces have become very terrifying. Konoha gave some very critical information. Konoha 30 years. Genin, genius, 12 years old. Among the ninjas who joined Anbu in Konoha's 30 years, only one is Genin, indeed 12 years old, was once hailed as a genius for his explosive strength. That is the cold light. Bullshit. You want to say that you are Lord Hangguang? Kato Kai's face suddenly became extremely angry and mocking. It seems that you know Lord Hangguang very well, and your voice is very similar. Lu Han looked up at the night sky at a 45-degree angle with sad eyes. So sad. Indeed suspected. Chapter 0847_Silent Tears. In the mundane world, regardless of superstition and the issue of demons leaning over, it is very easy for a person who has returned from the dead to prove his identity. Enough. But in the ninja world, everything becomes extremely complicated. Because of the ghost-like ability of ninjutsu, a genin can pretend to be another person with transformation, not to mention some powerhouses who are good at secret techniques, and masters incredible secret techniques of change, and this kind of thing is not just done theoretically, but actually done. Whether in this world or in the original, there are people who have impersonated other people. The most common is to infiltrate an enemy country to spy on intelligence by pretending to be an identity. In the original work, Uchiha Obito once pretended to be Uchiha Madara. Afe was originally a clone of White Zetsu, and Obito also pretended to be. For Lu Han, he is not afraid of any doubts, he just doesn't want to make things bigger, which is not good for him who has just been resurrected. He has limited contact with a few people, so that these people believe that he is Hengguang, but through them find out what happened in this decade, and finally think about what to do. He may have really been an Anbu ninja before. After Kato Kai questioned Lu Han, Kato Feng also reminded in a low voice that only Anbu ninja can understand some things about Hongguang in Konoha Anbu. Don't you think you're stupid? Kato said with a sneer. Lord Hengguang has been dead for 10 years. Back then, I personally carried the coffin for Lord Hengguang. Before he was buried, I personally arranged the remains for Lord Hengguang. Who are you pretending to be? No, dare to pretend to be Lord Hengguang. You are so bold. Lu Han took off his mask directly, revealing a fair and clean face. Kato directly hand seal, with a flash of white smoke on his body, he became exactly the same as Lu Han, but his breath was very unstable. He began to mock Lu Han again. This is what Lord Hengguang looked like 10 years ago. If Lord Hengguang is really alive, I should be 29 years old this year. I'm resurrected, Lu Han said. Kato ripped the corners of his mouth and said nothing. At this moment, Kato Kai looked at Lu Han, as if he was looking at an idiot. Believe you are a ghost. Remember, Akai, when I first entered Anbu, you looked down on me. When I went to the land of water to clear missing Nin, we should have gone directly to the east coast, but I said to go to the land of Vortex, because I was worried Tsunade will have an accident. When we were in the land of Vortex, we met Kurigakure Flying Ninja. Lu Han continued to talk about the past. Kato Kai still looked at Lu Han with a sneer, raised his eyebrows and said, the people who know about this kind of thing are not just me and Lord Hengguang. Lu Han frowned, he was thinking, there is something that only he and Kato Kia know, or Kato Feng. It seems. No. Lu Han couldn't remember some gossip in daily life, and it couldn't be used as evidence. It had to be something special or something special. Of course there were, but only 2 people knew about this condition. The relationship between the Kato brothers and Lu Han started as a partner, then as a superior and a superior. It is impossible to do anything too private together. It is not a close friend or a close relative. If it was replaced by White Fang or Tsunade, it would be easy for Lu Han to prove himself. White Fang fought a few times and told Tsunade about the night of men and women, which can prove it, but to Brother Kato. Lu Han wanted to say something, but stopped again, because he noticed Kato's cracked eyes. He really couldn't believe it. For Kato, the current situation can be divided into 2 situations. 1. The person in front of him used to be a Konoha Anbu ninja, or someone related to Konoha Anbu missing Nin. He has thoroughly inquired about the privacy of Lord Hengguang, and he knows many things about Lord Hengguang. 2. The person in front of him is Lord Hongguang, who has been dead for 10 years. Or resurrection. Obviously, the first case is credible, and the second case, whoever believes it is an idiot. What's your purpose of pretending to be Lord Hengguang? Kato asked coldly when he saw that Lu Han didn't speak. Lu Han stared at Kato Kai with dead fish eyes. Fuck. Do you believe you can die? In fact, Luhan has a more direct way to prove himself, that is to use his big move, Susanoo and Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse fully open, Raiden Thunder style chakra mode is rampant. He is now going to Konoha village, looking for a strong enough strength the acquaintances of, and fight casually. Konoha will definitely believe that Han Guang is resurrected, but this way. The news can't be concealed. This incident will cause a sensation in the ninja world, and Uchiha Madara will also know. This is very bad for Luhan. Because now Luhan's sudden resurrection is an opportunity for him. If only a few trusted people knew that he was resurrected, he could do it in secret. The two things he wanted to do most right now, one was to find Tsunade, and the other was to kill Uchiha Madara. Both of these things are suitable to be done in secret, especially the killing of Uchiha Madara. If Uchiha Madara is told that Han Guang is resurrected, he will probably hide, and it will be difficult for Luhan to find him. Since Luhan is in the dark, Uchiha Madara will not go to Tsunade for trouble. Temporarily hiding is in the best interest of Luhan. Luhan trusted the Kato brothers, so he wanted to confess his identity to them and ask about the current situation in the ninja world, but these two guys didn't believe that Lord Hangguang could be resurrected at all. He also mocked Lu Leng coldly. So aggrieved. Silent and 2 tears. Forget it. Luhan sighed and disappeared. There is no need to prove to them that they believe it or not. Kato and Kato Feng both breathed a sigh of relief, but they did not let their guard down. Kato shoved his hand into his mouth, blew a loud whistle, and then said to his younger brother Kato Feng, "You go and report to Lord Hokage, someone pretends to be Lord Hangguang. He ran away after being exposed by us, and he is likely to deceive others." Quote. Half a kilometer away, on a towering tree, Luhan stepped on the branches and looked at the dimly lit tomb of heroes. "Elf, I have the ability to resurrect now, right?" Luhan asked in his heart. "Yes, Disruptor 3665 currently has an exclusive finishing ability, Resurrection." "Then can I resurrect White Fang?" "It's Hitaki Sakumo, he's been dead for a long time." Luhan asked again. "It's very difficult," said the elf. Luhan's eyes lit up. What he said was very difficult, not impossible. Chapter 0848_Individual Life. Exclusive and Ability Resurrection. Calculate the total strength of the subversive, permanently deplete 10% of the strength, and resurrect an individual life. The resurrection ability on Luhan's attribute interface. Except for the cost of resurrection, the rest is vague, and it does not say what kind of life form is resurrected. After all, even a tailed beast can be regarded as a kind of life form. White Zetsu clone is also a kind of living body. If I want to resurrect a powerful ninja, is the price the same? Luhan asked inwardly. Yes, at the cost of 10% of the strength, whether it is an ordinary person, a ninja, a baby, an elderly person, or an extremely powerful being, the price is the same. Elf said. Then, are there any other conditions? Yes, because individual life is a broad concept, a chicken is also an individual life, so is a dog, a bird ninja beast, a powerful tailed beast, an ordinary human, a ninja, an old man who is about to end his life, even a puppet life, some kind of life. Plants with strong vitality are regarded as an individual life. Elf continued, Subversive 3665 resurrects any individual life. The price is the same, but the conditions are different. For example, if Subversive 3665 wants to revive an old man who has reached the end of his lifespan, he must revive him within 1 minute of the old man's death. Otherwise the old man who just died has already returned to the kingdom of heaven, and there is no possibility of resurrection. End of life is a unique form of death. And if the subversive wants to revive the killed middle-aged man, it also depends on the state of the person's death. If the person is burned to ashes, the subversive must use the resurrection ability within 1 minute, otherwise the soul fly away, and there is no physical traction. Over time will lose the possibility of resurrection. Quote. If the killed person leaves a body, the host will have 7 days to revive it, and after 7 days there will be no chance. Lu Han seemed to understand a little. The elf mentioned that the old man who had reached the end of his life and the middle-aged man who was killed were all related to the soul. Isn't it possible that as long as the soul is still in the ninja world and hasn't returned to the kingdom of heaven, it is possible for me to resurrect it? Lu Han asked, and immediately added, by the way, there must be a corpse. Theoretically, yes, but not absolutely. Then, the one who was killed. Those who were killed were unwilling. Only a few held the belief of mortal death, or had the idea of sacrificing one's own life. Such people will return to the kingdom of heaven after death, but most of the people who were killed, they will not let go of their worries, and if they cannot let go of their thoughts, they will become lonely ghosts. Quote. Then what about suicide? Those who commit suicide will not return their souls to the kingdom of heaven. They have sorrow in their hearts and cannot escape. Then White Fang. Lu Han wanted to ask again, but he stopped immediately, because he didn't know how White Fang died at all. The way of death was very important. What if White Fang died of illness? After all, this Hokage world is different from the Hokage world in the original book. Not knowing how White Fang died or when White Fang died, no matter how much Lu Han asked the elves, he couldn't be sure how to resurrect White Fang, and he might not really resurrect White Fang. Even if he has the ability and meets all the conditions, he still needs 19% of his strength to revive White Fang. It is not easy to cultivate, and Lu Han has been unable to make rapid progress, because there are no first kills below level 70 bronze, and he has one too many before. Yuanbao, the explosion rate has been reduced to an outrageous level. It is easy to pay 10% of the strength, but it is difficult to cultivate back. Although he has a very strong will to resurrect White Fang, he also has to consider whether it is worth it. When he came to this world, he knew too many people. He had enemies all over the world, and friends all over the world. His father-in-law Hyuga Haeyong was still in the grave. Should he resurrect them? Who should be resurrected? Should he be resurrected? This is all worth it question of thinking. In the dark forest, Lu Han stood on a high place and stared in the direction of the hero's tomb for a long time. Brother Kato doesn't believe him, so there is no need for him to disturb him. He will sneak into Konoha village, change his identity, and inquire about the situation, and it won't take long. I don't know if Tsunade is in Konoha or not. If he is, it will be easy. Hokage office in Hokage building. 55-year-old Sarutobi Hiruzen sat behind his desk, his half-white hair combed meticulously, the lamp emitting a dim yellow light, reflecting on his serious side face. The night was dark. Sarutobi Hiruzen was still busy. Not long ago Anbuhi just sent a batch of frontline intelligence, and he didn't want to wait until tomorrow to deal with it. Hum. The lamp suddenly dimmed, turned on again, dimmed again, flashed 5 or 6 times, and then went out completely. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at the lamp with dissatisfaction, then raised his head and said, "Someone, fix it." Immediately, a ninja entered the door, skillfully disassembled the lamp and replaced it with a new light bulb. This thing was only invented in recent years. In the current ninja world, electricity has been widely used, mainly for military use, while electric lights belong to the category of luxury goods. It can only be used, but in the world of ninjas, it is affordable, but many people still don't believe in this thing and are unwilling to use it. The lamp turned on again, and the ninja who changed the light bulb also retreated. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned at the information. Report. Kato Feng's voice sounded outside the door. Come in. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up. Kato Feng pushed in the door and walked quickly to the desk. Lord Hokage, just at the Tomb of Heroes, someone came. He wanted to pretend to be Lord Hangguang. He also ate offerings. And then, after being exposed, he left. Already sent someone to look for it, but... Sarutobi Hiruzen listened, frowning gradually. Someone ran over to pretend to be Cold Light. A person whose height, body, voice and appearance are exactly the same as Han Guang 10 years ago, claiming to be Han Guang, saying that he is resurrected. P.S. By the way, although the issue of ninja world technology is somewhat inconsistent, it is like this in the original book. Konoha has even had a computer monitor for 60 years. Now that there are lights, there should be no problem. Chapter 0849_Big Boy and Little Boy. Someone pretending to be Hangwang is really a big or small thing. In a big way, someone wants to swindle in the name of Hangwang, which may lead to disaster. After all, Hangwang is the most famous ninja in history. Even if he has already in the 10 years since his death, there were countless people who admired him in the whole ninja world, and his enemies were countless. He still had many relatives and friends who lived in the ninja world, and many of them stood at the peak of the ninja world. Terrifying existence. But then again, who would believe it? To put it mildly, this is a joke that is not funny. At least to Sarutobi Hiruzen, this is really a joke. He is already convinced that Hangwang is 100% dead, because when he returned to